welcome back. We were discussing medieval Indian history, which has got totally 5 chapters. The famous areas to be focused we were learning. One among them was early medieval age, followed by Delhi Sultanate, provincial kingdoms, Mughal Sultanate, and Marathas. So we did complete the first 2 chapters of early medieval age, that is medieval Indian history, that is early medieval age and Delhi Sultanate. When it comes to Delhi Sultanate, the last famous component of Delhi Sultanate happened to be Bhakti and Sufi movements. So start with Bhakti and Sufi movements. So once we done with Bhakti and Sufi movements, we're going to have the glance of provincial kingdoms, where you have to focus on what do we call Vijayanagara Empire and Bahmanis. So as far as Bhakti and Sufi movements, another famous area for competitive exams are the prelims gavachu, mains gavachu, right? So these are the key areas. As part of Delhi Sultanate, we generally discuss Bhakti movement. We have Saguna sect, Niguna sect, Saguna Bhakti, Niguna Bhakti, and Silsila, and even technical terms, Silsila. And when it comes to Ramanujacharya, Adi Shankaracharya, Ramananda, when it comes to Maharashtra, at least half a dozen Bhakti saints we have Gyaneshwar, Namdev, Samartha Ramadas, Eknath. We have so many Bhakti saints from Maharashtra, and even Kabir, Guru Nanak, Mirabai. So let me tell you, when it comes to medieval Indian history, you have to focus, especially in Delhi Sultanate, Bhakti and Sufi movement, because we found questions of the famous areas. As I was telling, art and culture. The art and culture lo bhanga, one of the components happen to be literature, another component happen to be religion, followed by art and architecture. Now come to religion. Religion includes philosophies. The philosophies which we found in 6th century BC, Sankhya, Mimamsa, Purva Mimamsa, Uttar Mimamsa, including Jainism, Buddhism, Vedic religion, includes what do we call Bhakti and Sufi movements. By the time you go to modern Indian history, you come across socio-religious reformation movements. Ivanni kuda manaku religions kindiki vastayi. So have the glance what is what, right? Now come to Bhakti and Sufi movements. What is Bhakti movement for Hinduism, Sufi movement for Islam? What is Bhakti movement for Hinduism, Sufi movement for Islam? Why did Bhakti movement come? Why only in medieval ages? Areas focus here. Any you might be knowing. Give me some insights. Why did Bhakti movement come? Chapter. Okay, influx of Islam. Good. So you wanted to convey as, if no Islam, forget about Bhakti movement. One of the reasons. Good. Chimnan. Against rituals and sacrifices. Okay. Chimnan. Political support. From whom? Okay. Okay, fine. ఇంకేమన్నా కొంచెం గట్టిగా. Good. Okay. Shudras were not happy with the religion in which they born and brought up. They started looking at an alternative. Good. कुछ बोल रहे थे आप? Because of Bhagavata religion. ओके, गुड. और कुछ है? కొంచెం గట్టిగా. Good. So liberal attitude of priestly class, right? Good. Chalo. So there are many reasons why Bhakti movement. So general ga when we talk about movement, हम कब बात करते हैं मूवमेंट के बारे में, क्रांति के बारे में? व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट मूवमेंट, गुड. సో వెన్ వీ టాక్ అబౌట్ మూమెంట్ అన్నప్పుడు వెన్ వీఆర్ నాట్ హ్యాపీ విత్ ద సిస్టమ్, ఒక లేమెన్ అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి. యూ హ్యావ్ టు అండర్స్టాండ్ ద కాన్సెప్ట్స్ లైక్ ఎ లేమెన్, కీపింగ్ aside your intellectuality. That's what UPSC demands. Why you are talking about movement? Movement का मतलब क्या होता है? Movement का मतलब होता है change. You are desiring for change. When you are talking about change, what does it indicate? You are not happy with the system. Right? Now let us confine to the Bhakti movement. Once we done with Bhakti movement, go for Sufi movement. So what is Bhakti movement for Hinduism, Sufi movement for Islam? Annapru. So society and religion. The people are not happy with Hindu society. We supposed to use Hindu society because by the time we went to Guptan age, we found Hinduism, formation of Hinduism. The people are not happy with Hindu society. The people are not happy with Hindu religion. Why they are not happy? Discrimination. Right from the days of later Vedic age, we found discriminations. It had been continued. Though at the beginning Hinduism was free from flaws, Hinduism is a fantastic religion. Hinduism stood on bhakti. When at the beginning, when I said at the beginning, that is when it was formed according to history. Even early Vedic religion was also fantastic. Early Vedic society was also fantastic, free from flaws, free from discriminations, free from domination. Cut, copy and paste, Hinduism. What I'm trying to tell you, at the beginning, institutions are free from flaws. అది ఫ్రెండ్షిప్ కావచ్చు, రిలేషన్షిప్ కావచ్చు, ఫస్ట్ అన్నీ బాగానే ఉంటాయి. ఇన్ యూ ట్రావెల్ అప్పుడు లోట పీస్ బయటకు వస్తుంది. డిఫరెన్సెస్ ఆఫ్ ఒపీనియన్, ఆ డిఫరెన్సెస్ ఒపీనియన్స్ లైక్ లీడ్స్ టు తలాక్ తలాక్ తలాక్, వాట్ ఎవర్ యూ కాల్ ఇట్. సార్ పొద్దుగాల మాట చెప్పి జనరల్. And if you sit, if you sort out, yes, you'll be going further. Apply the same to us. If not alternative, it's a human nature. No gaakapothe nee samasariki chanakaru. Now for friends, he says alternative. In 6th century BC, Jainism, Buddhism was an alternative. In 8th century AD, Islam was an alternative. In 16th century AD, Christianity was an alternative. So broad-minded priestly class or broad-minded Brahmin scholars, they understood the existing situation because people started, lower sections of society, the people started going to Islam, the new religion. Why did Bhakti movement come in medieval only? Annappudu, one of our friends, she says, because advent of Islam. Yes, one of the reasons. Then you can counter me, if no advent of Islam, no Bhakti movement. Yes. Yes. If no the rise of regional parties, there wouldn't be any kind of reformation in Congress party. నేనేసింది ఆసనము, చేసింది శాసనం. Emergencies, emergency. అహంకారం. When someone comes, you call him, you call them, you call it as a competitor. थोड़ा डर रहता है. మరి అపోజిషన్ పార్టీ కాంపిటీటర్స్ చాలా బ్రాడ్గా అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి కాన్సెప్ట్. Now they started reforming their own societies and religion. What is the motto of Bhakti saints? They determined to stop this migration of from where to where? From Hinduism to Islam. कैसा स्टॉप करना है? रिफॉर्म. దీన్ని ఏమంటున్నామంటే చేంజ్ అని. What is the path through which one can get salvation according to later Vedic religion? Rituals and sacrifices. What is the path according to Hinduism one can get salvation? At the beginning, bhakti. Hinduism is a bhakti-centric religion. Unfortunately, the same bhakti was replaced by rituals and sacrifices. Cut, copy and paste. Right? So the people started moving to the new religion. They were not happy with rituals and sacrifice. They were not happy with social distribution. They were not happy with all the same cassette, right? So under these circumstances, we found bhakti and tappa. See, the main motto of bhakti saints, one is to stop the growing influence of Islam. Second one is to protect their own people by reforming Hindu society and Hindu religion, right? Chalo. So with this background, for our convenience and exam point of view, scholars classified the entire bhakti movement into two parts. What is the criteria based on the nature of bhakti? So based on the nature of the bhakti movement, entire bhakti movement broadly divided into two parts, Saguna and Niguna. Saguna, Sadgun. You can compare Saguna with Mahayana Buddhism. That's it. Koncham connect చేసుకోవాలి. చాలా ఈజీ నా, చాలా ఈజీ. కొంచెం కనెక్ట్ చేసుకోవాలి. సో డిడ్ వి లర్న్ ద సేమ్ టాపిక్? ఎస్. ఇక్కడ Mahayana Buddhism. Mahayana Buddhist worship Buddha by giving human form, by giving idol form, right? Saguna, anthropomorphic form. Worship God by giving a form, idolatry. Then how about Niguna? They simply opposed idolatry. Because Niguna sects believe God is omnipresent. In Telugu we have a dialogue, Bhagavantudu Sarvantaryami. When you feel God is everywhere, omnipresent, why the hell you are making idol? Why the hell you are creating God to support particular place? Maybe temple and incote and whatever you call it. Because God is everywhere. So Niguna said they worship God in abstract form. Let me tell you, in Niguna saints everything. Once again we found questions. 3 what we call say scholars from Saguna sect, 1 from Niguna sect. 3 from Niguna sect, 1 from Saguna sect. Add one out. అంటే ఇది చదువుతూనే క్వశ్చన్స్ ఫార్మాట్ని అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి. లెట్ మీ టెల్ యూ, మోర్ దాన్ 90% bhakti saints belong to, hardly 10% bhakti saints belong to Niguna sect. One among them was Kabir. Right? One among them was Eknath. No, Tukaram comes under Saguna sect. Did he preach Vithala Bhakti? Shape. But he promoted Niguna Bhakti. I'm sorry, idolatry. Niguna. Which Bhakti he promoted? Vithala Bhakti. But not in the form. Chalo. Niguna. Chalo, we'll discuss it. So Saguna, Niguna annappudu, ఈ Niguna saints ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో, like they were influenced by obviously Islam. Because Islam also stands on God is omnipresent, abstract form. See, whenever you talk about monotheism, or whenever you talk about, like, say, God, if you worship God in abstract form, keep in mind, there is no space for rituals and sacrifices. Number 1. Number 2, there is no space for mediators. There won't be any mediator between devotee and God. Bhagavantuniki, Bhaktuniki, no mediator. Not Ambika Darbarbati. కొంతమంది సైకిల్ బత్తి అసలు there is no బత్తి కాన్సెప్ట్, because there is no mediator. అసలు మీడియేటర్ అవసరమే లేదు. When rituals and sacrifices, mediators come annappudu, when you feel or when you have faith, God has a shape, idolatry, the same stuff which we have learned as part of Mahayana Buddhism. Chalo. So you might be knowing Niguna Bhakti, one of the famous Niguna Bhakti scholars by name Kabir. Right? Kabir, dohas, right? Kabir wrote many dohas. One of dohas, he says, agar pahan puje to hari mile, to me puju pahar, he says. Right? Okay. How Niguna sects, Niguna Bhakti saints opposed idolatry. Start reading Dohas. Schooling lo edo by heart చేసింటాం ఎక్కువ మార్క్స్ రావడానికి. Now you understand actual meaning of Dohas. ఏం రాయకపోతే 90 మార్క్స్ వేసింటారు అనమాట. దట్ ఈస్ అనదర్ స్టోరీ. సంస్కృత ఎట్లా చెప్పొద్దు, 100 కొట్టేస్తారు. So Kabir says, अगर पहन पूजे तो हरि मिले, तुम्हें पूजूं पहाड़. Pahan, small stone. Acha, you started worshipping a small stone, having faith that you'll be going to get salvation. God, salvation. Pahan पूजे तो हरि मिले, तुम्हें पूजूं पहाड़. If it is a case, I'm ready to worship a big hillock, and my God is bigger than your God. If salvation comes, ఒకవేళ దేవుడు లభిస్తే, దేవుడు వస్తే ఫస్ట్ నాకు వస్తాడు దేవుడు. బికాస్ మై గాడ్ ఈజ్ బిగ్గర్ దాన్ యువర్ గాడ్. యువర్ గాడ్ ఈజ్ చిన్న గాడ్, మై గాడ్ ఈజ్ బిగ్ గాడ్. మీన్ చిన్న గాడ్ ఇన్ ది సెన్స్ లైక్ స్మాల్ స్టోన్, మై గాడ్ ఈజ్ బిగ్ స్టోన్. అంటే సర్కాస్టిక్గా క్రిటిసైజ్ చేయడము. Did Kabir criticize only Hindu traditions? No, he also criticized Muslim traditions. He followed equality before law, Article 14. Now take an example of Muslims. In fact, everywhere you come across these sacred places, including Buddhism. Panchamahakalyanas we have done. In Islam we found two sacred places, Mecca and Medina. The place where Mecca, the place where Prophet was born, and Medina, the place where he passed away. So when you feel God is everywhere, why the hell you are making pilgrimages to Mecca and Medina? Easy baat. You says God is everywhere, and you started worshipping Almighty God in abstract form. Fantastic, very good. Then why the hell, or by taking all the pains across the globe, people started rushing towards Mecca and Medina? When you say Kabir attacked Hinduism, he also attacked equally Islam. That's the greatness of these people, right? Chalo. One of the famous areas now. So principles of Bhakti movement, opposed rituals and sacrifices, opposed image worship, opposed the domination of priestly class, opposed caste system, gender discrimination, caste, social discrimination, even promotion of vernaculars. One of the famous consequences of Bhakti movement, promotion of vernaculars. అర్థం చేసుకొని అబ్జర్వ్ చేయాలి. రైట్ ఫ్రమ్ ద డేస్ ఆఫ్ బుద్ధ అండ్ ఈవెన్ టుడే, whenever you talk about the great leaders always focus on the languages of masses, because Sanskrit always remained as the language of microscopic people, elite people. This is one of the defects of Vedic philosophy. This is one of the major defects of even హిందూ రిలీజన్. అసలు నువ్వు ఏం చెప్తున్నావు నాకేం అర్థం కావట్లేదు. నీ తత్వం ఏంది, నీ ఫిలాసఫీ ఏంది? ఆత్మ అంటావు, పరమాత్మ అంటావు, ప్రేతాత్మ అంటావు, కాంచన అంటావు. అది కూడా ఇంకొకసారి చెప్తే మాకు వినదు. బికాస్ వీ డోంట్ హ్యావ్ ఎనీ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ యాక్సెస్ టు నో వాట్ ఈస్ రిటన్. అండ్ యూ స్టార్టెడ్ బ్రాండింగ్ సంస్కృత్ ద లాంగ్వేజ్ ఆఫ్ గాడ్స్ అండ్ గాడెసెస్. And you started misinterpreting Shastras, you started misinterpreting the so-called Vedic hymns, because we don't know. Vesindi asanam chesinde Shastram. Misinterpretation of Shastras, everywhere you come across. Not only in Hinduism, you come across in Islam, you come across in other religions. Right? You might be knowing Raja Ram Mohan Roy, the father of Indian Reformation movements, Indian Renaissance. And ఏమంటాడంటే you have to read scriptures, the sacred scriptures everything. You have to read sacred scriptures not in translated form but in original form. అప్పుడు మీకు బయటపడుతుంది. ఈ లోటపీస్ పంతులు, ముల్లాలు ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో, ఉలేమాస్ ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో, లేకుంటే పాస్టర్స్ ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో, వాళ్ళు చెప్పేది కరెక్టా లేదు. You have to read original form. They became like one of the great scholars and stuff, right? Chalo. So these are the principles. Now, you just go through the so-called philosophies, that is Bhakti saints and their philosophies, one of the famous areas. Adi Shankaracharya, Advaita. Adi Shankaracharya, Advaita philosophy. So while you're reading Bhakti movement, have say the concept called moksha. Moksha. What is the path prescribed by Hindu religion? Rituals and sacrifices. Keep putting aside. By opposing rituals and sacrifices, respective Bhakti saints have come with various paths. For example, take an example of Adi Shankaracharya. Adi Shankaracharya propounded a path for salvation, Gnana Marga. అంటే మోక్ష మీద ఎక్కువగా వీళ్ళు ఫోకస్ చేశారు. మీరు అబ్జర్వ్ చేసినట్లయితే the same stuff which we might have learnt as part of Jainism and Buddhism. Later Vedic religion says rituals and sacrifices. Jainism emphasized on Sallekhana. Buddhism says Madhya Marga. Ajvika religion says Niyati. Alternative. Now when I say Hindu religion, rituals and sacrifices, now these people have come with alternative. That's it. దాన్ని మనం ఏమంటుంటే దే మేడ్ చేంజెస్. జ్ఞాన మార్గ, ప్రాప్తి మార్గ, అండ్ ఆల్ ప్రాప్తి మార్గ, పుష్టి మార్గ, అండ్ బై ద టైమ్ యూ గో టు లైక్ ఈస్టర్న్ ఇండియా, చైతన్య మహాప్రభు, హీ ఎంఫసైజెస్ ఆన్ రాగ మార్గ, ద పాత్ ఆఫ్ లవింగ్ డివోషన్ టు గాడ్. అండ్ ఆబ్వియస్లీ కొంచెం దాంట్లో డాన్స్ ఉంటుంది, నాట్ తిన్మార్ వాలా డాన్స్, కొంచెం స్పిరిచువల్ డాన్స్ అన్నమాట ఇన్ ద డాన్స్. Might be knowing, might watched, that is Jodha Akbar and the Akbar Sufi saints. Two more steps, Akbar also goes on the Hrithik Roshan, god of dance, and he also goes, or then more step later. Okay. Devotional dance antam, not DJ wala babu. So Bhakti saints philosophies annappudu Adi Shankaracharya Advaita philosophy, dualism, non-dualism, Advaita philosophy. Ramanujacharya, Vishishta Advaita philosophy. Prapti Marga, the English version of Prapti Marga, that is devotion to God, Bhakti. Madhavacharya, Dvaita philosophy, once again Prapti Marga. Vallabhacharya, Shuddha Advaita philosophy, Pushti Marga, the path of grace. Nimbarka, Dvaita, once again Pushti Marga. Let me tell you, except Adi Shankaracharya, all Bhakti saints propounded the path called path of Bhakti. That is devotion to God. ఏంటి భక్తి, ప్రాప్తి, పుష్టి అన్నప్పుడు భక్తి ఈజ్ నథింగ్ బట్ సెల్ఫ్ సబ్మిషన్ టు గాడ్ ఆర్ సెల్ఫ్ సరెండరెన్స్ టు గాడ్. యూ హ్యావ్ టు సబ్మిట్ యువర్ సెల్ఫ్ టు గాడ్. వెన్ యూ సబ్మిట్ యువర్ సెల్ఫ్ టు గాడ్, నీడ్ నాట్ టు బి మీడియేటర్స్, నీడ్ నాట్ టు బి రిచువల్స్ అండ్ సాక్రిఫైసెస్. ఈ సెల్ఫ్ సబ్మిషన్ ఏదైతే ఉందో విచ్ టేక్స్ యూ టు ఫెంటాస్టిక్ కాన్సెప్ట్, రేషనల్ కాన్సెప్ట్, scientific concept which we found in Upanishads, but unfortunately selfish priestly class never popularized it. Why didn't priestly class popularize bhakti annappudu? When they popularize bhakti, then how about their livelihood? Seriously, భక్తి ద్వారా మోక్షం వస్తుందంటే సార్కి గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ కూడా బెటర్ అన్నమాట. సార్ పోతుంటే లోటపీసారు భక్తి. అదే భక్తిని పక్కన పెట్టి రిచువల్స్ అండ్ సాక్రిఫైసెస్ అన్నప్పుడు రైట్ పంతులను తీసుకురా, ఫస్ట్ కారు పంతులు ఫస్ట్ కారు పంపిస్తే ఆయన లెవెల్ వేరే ఉంటాను. వచ్చినప్పటి నుంచి రెడ్ కార్పెట్ వెల్కమ్, సాష్టాంగ నమస్కారం, పర్ఫార్మెన్స్, వినయం, విధేయత. మళ్ళీ పూజ అయిపోయిన తర్వాత మళ్ళీ పంతులు గారు అక్కడ అప్పుడు చేయకపోతే బాటిల్ నీళ్ళు ఉంటాయి, ప్యాట్ వాడితే ప్రిలిమ్స్ కూడా కాదని చెప్తాడు ఆయన. సో సెల్ఫిష్ ప్రీస్ట్లీ క్లాస్. లెట్ మీ టెల్ యూ, everywhere you come across, if a religion is going in wrong direction, it's not the fault of religion. Then whose fault? It's a fault of custodians, so-called custodians, whatever the names you have there. You call them Brahmins in Hindu religion, ulemas in Islam, lamas in Buddhism, like the pastors in Christianity. Yeah? Different technical terms, mahans. For their selfish reasons, like they insert all the stuff. Right? Chalo. So these are the philosophies and the paths propounded by the respective saints. Right? Now consider the following statements. Saint Nimbarka was a contemporary of Akbar. Is it correct? Saint Kabir was greatly influenced by Sheikh Ahmad Sarhindi. Both these statements are incorrect. Consider the following statements. Bijak is a composition of the teachings of Saint Dadu Dayal. Bijak is a composition of the teachings of Kabir. The philosophy of Pushti Marg was propounded by Madhavacharya. Yes. Except Adi Shankaracharya, all philosophers or Bhakti saints were associated with path of Bhakti. Andvalane, that is the reason Adi Shankaracharya was not given the tag called Bhakti saint. He was not a Bhakti saint. Reason being, he spoke everything but Bhakti. He says Atma, Paramatma, Advaita, and to propagate his own philosophy, he started mathas. ఈ మఠంల మీద కూడా ఇప్పుడు రచ్చరచ్చ జరుగుతుంది. When you read newspapers, one Swamiji says these mathas were not at all established by Adi Shankaracharya. Udiyamabbantu. ఎవడి పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ అది చేస్తున్నాం. రీసెంట్గా Chinnajiyar, he made unwarranted statements on Shaivism. ఎక్కడి నుంచి వచ్చారా మీరంతా? అవే స్టేట్మెంట్స్ అన్ని మతాలు చేసింటే sectarian conflicts. Shaivism versus Vaishnavism. Because we found gradual growing of Shaivism. Mahadev, especially will Isha Foundation వాళ్ళు మన బిజినెస్ తగ్గుతుంది ఏదో ఒకటి స్టేట్మెంట్ చెప్పు బా. ఎవ్రీవేర్ యూ కమ్ అక్రాస్ దీస్ పీపుల్ త్రూఅవుట్ హిస్టరీ. మీరు ఆల్వార్డ్స్ అంటారా, నాయనార్డ్స్ అంటారా, అవన్నీ కూడా అబ్జర్వ్ చేయాలి, అర్థం చేసుకోండి. ద సేమ్ Chinnajiyar, ది జెంటల్మెన్ మేడ్ డెరిగేటివ్ స్టేట్మెంట్స్ ఆన్ సమ్మక్క సారక్క. వాళ్ళు దేవతలే కాదని చెప్తారు, ఇదంతా బిజినెస్ అంటారు. నువ్వేం చెప్తున్నావు? నేనేం చెప్పలేదు. 600 ఎకరాలు ఎట్టొచ్చు నీకు ముచ్చింతలు, పెద్ద ఎగ్రామ్ పెడితే ఎక్కడి నుంచి వచ్చి బిజినెస్ కాదు. ఓకే రైట్ రైట్. కన్సిడర్ ద ఫాలోయింగ్ స్టేట్ Bhakti saints. Dadu Dayal, Guru Nanak, Tyagaraja. Who among the above were preaching when the Lodi dynasty fell and Babur took over? Just see a question pattern చూడండి. మనం ఏంటి భక్తి సైన్స్ అంటే లోడపీస్ హిస్టరీ సరే ఒక పర్ఫార్మెన్స్ వెళ్ళండి, అద్దప్ప మొత్తం చెప్పారు. సో కొంచెం కనెక్ట్ చేసుకోవాలి. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ Lodi dynasty, that is 1454, 1526. Babur 1526. మళ్ళీ ఈ ఏరియాస్లో అంటే ఈ పీరియడ్లో ఎవరెవరు ఉన్నారు? దాదు దయాల్, గురునానక్, త్యాగరాజా. త్యాగరాజా హీ లివ్డ్ ఇన్ 17th century. ఆ సారి మెల్లగా తీసేయచ్చు. రైట్. మన దాదు దయాల్ అండ్ గురునానక్. So I'm not instructing you people be good at years, no, ages. Lodis ruled Sultanate in 15th and 16th centuries. Babur came to India in 16th century. కొంచెం ఆ ఏజెస్ గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవాలి. ఓకే, నానక్ lived in 16th century, Kabir lived in 16th century. Right? Now come to Sufi movement. As I was telling, what is Bhakti movement for Hinduism, Sufi movement for Islam? Whatever the irrational, unscientific practices which we found in Hinduism and Hindu society, cut, copy and paste in Islam and Islamic society. అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి. whenever you talk about movement, whenever you started like craving for change, what does it indicates? Which indicates the system is not good. Now, what happened to the system? Annappudu, same. We found generally Islam stands on monotheism, right? But Muslims in Central Asia, especially 10th and 11th centuries AD, they started following polytheism. Enti polytheism annappudu, we have learned as part of political history of ancient Indian history, that is devocati. Devocati stands for divine origin kingship theory. King is a representative of God, right? You're supposed not to question the king. For a period of time, by the time you go to Cholas, Devakula cult. What is this Devakula cult? Cult का मतलब क्या होता है? Cult, the way you worship, religious pantheon anta. Devakula cult, after the death of the king, his images were made, and these images are started installing in the temples. Not in గర్భగృహ. ప్రతి టెంపుల్ ఒక గర్భగృహ ఉంటుంది, దాంట్లో డైటీ ఉంటుంది. మనకు ఈ గర్భగృహ చుట్టూ చిన్న చిన్న గర్భగృహాస్ ఉంటాయి, అక్కడ ఇన్స్టాల్ చేశారు దేవకుల కల్ట్. whenever you go to Tamil Nadu, you come across even today the same tradition, but not rulers. Today we have semi-gods, demigods అంటారు. Devakula cult. Now with this background, understand Islam. So in order to get command over people, even Khalifas and Muslim rulers also started what we call following these traditions. This is nothing but polytheism. Besides Almighty God, rulers started instructing people, you have to bow down in front of me. That is Sizda antam, Sazda, which we have learnt as part of Balban. Sazda లేదా Sizda, prostration, Sashtanga Namaskaram. Islam says a Muslim shall not bow down in front of anyone except Almighty God. When Prophet Muhammad doesn't have a right to command Sajda. But the rulers everything, they started forcing, they started instructing the people to bow down. It was not digested by broad-minded scholars. And the same social discrimination, gender discrimination, all these events forced the broad-minded saints to take up movement, Sufi movement, right? How we found two what we call categories in Bhakti movement, that is Niguna, Saguna. Ikkada apply the same towards Sufi movement. Based on the nature, entire Sufi movement is broadly classified into two, that is Bashariya Sufi movements and Beshariya Sufi movements. Bashariya Sufi movements in accordance with Sharia. Sharia, Islamic constitution. According to Shariat. Shariat Prakaramu. So few Sufi movements determined to make changes in the existing system according to Shariat. So alanti Sufi movements emantamante Bashariya Sufi movement. Then how about Beshariya Sufi movement? Against Shariat. In Urdu we generally call Besharam. Beshariya Sufi movements. Against Shariat. Opposing Shariat. And let me tell you, on Indian soil we found Bashariya Sufi movements, not Beshariya Sufi. Beshariya Sufi movements are associated with Central Asia, that is understood, right? So these are the important, what we call Bashariya Sufi movements. We have Chisti Silsila and Chisti Silsila, Shulhavardi Silsila, Kalandar Silsila. We have so many silsilas. We found questions. On one hand, names of the silsilas. On the other hand, who brought these silsilas movements to India. On one hand, names of the Sufi saints and their dargahs which are located, right? E areas with the focus there. Dargah. दरगाह का मतलब क्या होता है? The tomb of Sufi saints. So Khwaja Ghariban Nawaz or Sheikh Muinuddin Chishti, his dargah located at Ajmer, Rajasthan. Khwaja Bande Nawaz or Mir Sayyid Muhammad Gesu Daras, popularly called as Khwaja Bande Nawaz, his dargah located at Kalaburgi or Kalburgi, otherwise called as Gulbarga. And even one of the famous Sufi saints in Delhi, Hazrat Nizamuddin, and his dargah located at Delhi. Even like Delhi lo chala dargahs ఉన్నాయి. One of the famous dargahs, that is Kutubuddin Bhaktiar Kaki, who happened to be the spiritual saint of Altamaj. Slave rulers built a tall tower in Delhi. The tall tower is named after Kutubuddin Bhaktiar Kaki. Kutub Minar. With reference to the religious history of medieval India, the Sufi mystics were known to pursue which of the following practices? Meditation and control of breath. Yes, meditation and control of breath. Second one, severe ascetic exercises in a lonely place. Severe ascetic exercises in lonely place. No, Sufi saints ganivandi, Bhakti saints ganivandi, they were associated with society. Right? The second one, recitation of holy songs to arouse a state of ecstasy in their audience. Recitation of holy songs, that is propagation. దాన్ని మనము సూఫీ పరిభాషలో ఏమంటామంటే రాగ్ అంటాం, సమా అంటాం. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మనం భక్తి పరిభాషలో ఏమంటామంటే కీర్తనాస్ అంటాం, భజన్స్ అంటాం. Kirtanas, bhajans. By the time you go to Marathi Bhakti saints, abhangas, different technical terms. What are kirtanas? Devotional songs. For example, take an example of Annamacharya. The tradition says Annamacharya wrote for about 32,000 kirtanas. For about 8,800 kirtanas were discovered so far. So all these kirtanas were discovered by TTD. TTD stands for Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam. Sama, Rag. Sama, devotional music. Rag, devotional dance. Right? Chalo. So meditation and control breath recitation. 1 and 3. 1 and 3. Optional is R. Severe ascetic exercises in a lonely place. No, it must be 1, 2 and 3. None. Reason being, severe ascetic exercises in lonely place annappudu we found ఈ షడ్దర్శనాస్లో సమాధి అనే ఒక కాన్సెప్ట్ ఉంటుంది. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ యోగా ఫిలాసఫీ విచ్ వాస్ ప్రపోండెడ్ బై పతాంజలి. రైట్? ఈ యోగా ఫిలాసఫీలో హౌ వన్ కెన్ గెట్ సాల్వేషన్ అన్నప్పుడు త్రూ మెడిటేషన్. And obviously, yoga philosophy was inspired by Aranyakas. Aranyakas also prescribed the path for salvation, that is meditation. One has to perform meditation. The highest stage of meditation vachesi samadhi. Highest stage of meditation. Mali ee highest stage of meditation samadhi ekkada jarugutundi annappudu లోన్లీ ప్లేస్ అనేది కొంచెం అర్థం చేసుకో. బికాస్ యూ కాంట్ పర్ఫార్మ్ ద హైయెస్ట్ స్టేజ్ ఆఫ్ మెడిటేషన్ ఇన్ పబ్లిక్ ప్లేసెస్. అబ్జర్వేషన్ అట్లయితే వాట్ ఎవర్ ది గాడ్స్ యూ టాక్ అబౌట్ ఆర్ సెయింట్స్ యూ టాక్ అబౌట్, భక్తి సెయింట్స్ కానివ్వండి, వీళ్ళందరూ కూడా దే ఆల్వేస్ లివ్డ్ అవే ఫ్రమ్ సొసైటీ, ఇంక్లూడింగ్ బుద్ధ. I'm not talking about the so-called materialistic life. I'm talking about once he got enlightenment. ఎందుకు అవే ఫ్రమ్ ద మెయిన్ స్ట్రీమ్ అన్నప్పుడు when you maintain the gap with mainstream, then only you'll be revered as a saint. వీళ్ళతో పాటు ఉన్నాం అనుకో మొత్తం దబిడి చెప్తాను. హ్యూమన్ నేచర్ అన్ఫార్చునేట్, రైట్? చలో, the right answer for this question 1, 2 and 3 now. Right, it's all about it's all about the first two chapters of medieval Indian history, early medieval and Delhi Sultanate. Now come to provincial kingdoms. So as far as provincial kingdoms are concerned, once again we found the age of small kingdoms antam. Provincial kingdoms 1350 to 1550, otherwise called as the age of small kingdoms. ప్రాంతీయ రాజ్యాలు, ద ఏజ్ ఆఫ్ స్మాల్ కింగ్డమ్స్. ఏంటి 1350 టు 1550 అన్నప్పుడు అంటే ఈ టైం లైన్ అర్థం చేసుకోవడానికి ప్రయత్నించండి. ఎర్లీ మిడివల్ ఏజ్ 750 AD to 1200 AD. When it comes to Delhi Sultanate, 1206 to 1526. The next chapter would be 1526 నుంచి ఉండాలి కదా, మళ్ళీ ఎందుకు బ్యాక్ వెళ్తున్నారు? దట్ ఈస్ ప్రొవిన్షియల్ కింగ్డమ్స్ 1350 to 1550. Then how about Mughal Sultanate 1526 1857. Now come to provincial kingdoms. ఏంటి provincial kingdoms అన్నప్పుడు we found a ruler by name Muhammad bin Tughlaq. Muhammad bin Tughlaq ruled Hindustan or Sultanate from 1325 to 1351. So mid 14th century, 1350, mid 14th century. Having understood the inefficiency of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, having understood the failure reforms of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, what is the response of his own governors? What is the response of his own governors? That is, governors in Andhra region, feudatories in Tamil Nadu, feudatories in Karnataka, feudatories in what we call Deccan. They simply defeated the authority of Muhammad bin Tughlaq and they came out from Delhi Sultanate and they started ruling themselves as independent. ఇదంతా ఎప్పుడు జరిగింది అన్నప్పుడు ఆయన పరిపాలనా కాలంలో జరిగింది. దట్ ఈస్ 1325 to 50. So we are taking 1350s. How long these kingdoms ruled respective territories, maybe Andhra region కావచ్చు, maybe Tamil Nadu కావచ్చు, maybe Karnataka కావచ్చు, Deccan కావచ్చు. How long these kingdoms ruled అన్నప్పుడు until the arrival of Akbar. Until the arrival of Akbar 1556 to 1605, especially 1550s. So 1350s, 1550s, and it was Akbar who gave various blows to these kingdoms and respective kingdoms annexed to Mughal Empire. The previous session we might have learned the entire political history revolved around two elements: political disunity and unity. Early medieval age, political disunity, various disturbances, foreign invasions. Delhi Sultanate, political unity. When Muhammad bin Tughlaq ruled from 1320s onwards, we found gradual decline of Delhi Sultanate, political disunity. Political disunity annappudu obviously Mongol invasions, foreign invasions. Now we found regional kingdoms. Regional kingdoms, once again political disunity. Now by giving various blows to regional dynasties or regional rulers, Mughals once again brought political unity. And after the death of the gentlemen elections, they say Aurangzeb, once again we found political disunity. So ఈ keywords రాసుకోండి. ఫనం, right? What do we call the silver coins in ancient India? Panam, Karsha Pana, Panam. మీకు అడగడానికి ఫనం చిన్న హైఫన్ తీసుకోండి. సిల్వర్ కాయిన్స్ ఇన్ మిడివల్ ఇండియన్ రాసుకోండి. దట్స్ ఇట్. కొంచెం కనెక్ట్ చేసుకోండి. సిల్వర్ కాయిన్స్ ఇన్ మిడివల్ ఇండియా, ఫనం. ప్రీవియస్ క్వశ్చన్, నాయంకరా సిస్టమ్, అమర నాయంకరా సిస్టమ్, Mahattaras. What is this Nayankara system? Military administration of Vijayanagara Empire. What do we call military administration of Mughals? That's it. Then how about Amaranayankara system? Kakatiyas. That's it. Mahattaras, Pattakilas, technical terms, officers. Motupalli, port town, not Bandarnan. Motupalli, it's a port town, the oldest port in Andhra Desha, especially port town of Kakatiyas, which comes in Varakasam district of Andhra Pradesh. Next, Marco Polo. Marco Polo, it's an Italian traveler. Sri Krishna Devaraya, the famous ruler from Vijayanagara Empire, to be specific, Tulwa Dynasty. Prakasam district వాళ్ళంటే కొంచెం పెద్ద పని చేసుకోండి, మీకు పలకొత్తలేదు, అది కాదు, ఏదో అభిమానం అనమాట. Okay, Fernavan Yunis, foreign traveler. Domingo Pes, once again foreign traveler. Nikitin, followed by Ashta Diggajas. So focus must be on foreign travelers and their statements, because we found the statements of foreign travelers and asked which of the following foreign travelers made this statement. So మనం like refer చేసాం disintegration of Delhi Sultanate, that is like from 1320s onwards. When Muhammad bin Tughlaq was the ruler of Delhi Sultanate, having understood the inefficiency of Muhammad bin Tughlaq, many of his governors declared themselves as independents. ఈ డీఫేయింగ్ అథారిటీ ఏదైతే ఉందో, విచ్ స్టార్టెడ్ ఫ్రమ్ ఆంధ్ర రీజియన్, ఎవరైతే ఆంధ్ర స్టూడెంట్స్ ఎవరైతున్నారో, తెలుగు స్టూడెంట్స్ ఎవరైతున్నారో కొంచెం పెద్దమని చేసుకోవాలి. యాభై తెలుగు స్టేట్మెంట్, ఆంధ్రులు ఆరంభ శూరులు. అవును, అంటే ఏదైనా పనిని ప్రారంభించాలంటే ఫస్ట్ వీళ్ళు ఉంటారు అనమాట. ఐఎమ్ నాట్ టాకింగ్ అబౌట్ కంప్లీషన్ ఆఫ్ దట్ పని, రైట్? అది పోలవరం కావచ్చు, ఇంకొక వరం కావచ్చు, అన్నవరం కావచ్చు. ఓకే ఓకే, అయిపోయింది ఇప్పటికే. చలో నెక్స్ట్. So again, my point was, it was Andhras which like Andhra dynasties have come out from Delhi Sultanate. Musunuri Nayakas 1325, Padma Nayakas 1325, Reddy Nayakas 1325. Musunuri Nayakas ruled over eastern Telangana, modern Khammam, Rekhapalli as their capital. When it comes to Padma Nayakas, modern Nalgonda, Mehboob Nagar, right? Rachakonda is their capital. When it comes to Reddy Nayakas, they ruled over coastal Kondavidu as the capital, Guntur district of Andhra Pradesh, right? Now come to Madurai Sultanate, Madurai as the capital. Vijayanagara Empire had three capitals. What were they? Anegondi, Hampi, and Penukonda, not Gonda. Penukonda, right? There is a difference between Penukonda and Penugonda, right? Penugonda, one of the famous places of Vaishyas. It comes in West Godavari district. Any Vaishya friends? What is the significance of Penugonda? అంటే అందరు చెప్పొచ్చు, వీళ్ళకి ఇంకా ఎక్కువగా ఐడియా ఉంటుంది. వెరీ గుడ్ అండి. వాసవి కన్యకా పరమేశ్వరి, జనరల్గా వైశ్యాస్కు కులదేవత అంటాం, వాసవి కన్యకా పరమేశ్వరి, రైట్? ఆ ఫేమస్ టెంపుల్, ఓల్డెస్ట్ టెంపుల్ ఇక్కడ ఉందన్నమాట, Penugonda, right? Chalo. So now followed by Bahamanis Sultanate. Bahamanis also have got two capitals. What were they? Gulbarga and Bidar. So we are not going to learn Muslim Nayakas, Padma Nayakas, Reddy Nayakas, Madurai Sultanates and purely regional history. Just we are going to have the brief overview of Vijayanagara Empire and Bahmani Sultanate, because we found questions, especially Vijayanagara Empire nunchi every year, like we found two questions. Vijayanagara Empire. Once again, geopolitical conflicts. As I was telling, keeping aside the other history, Deccan versus South India. The same concept which we have learnt in the previous session, that is Deccan in post-Guptan age was ruled by Badami Chalukyas, South India was ruled by Pallavas. Constant conflict. What is the source of conflict? KG Basin, Krishna Godavari. Now provincial kingdoms lo bhanga Deccan was ruled by Bahamanis. Deccan was ruled by Bahamanis. When it comes to South India, by same conflict. What is the source of conflict? Raichur Doab. ఇక్కడ కొత్త పద్ధతి. Raichur Doab or Krishna Tungabhadra basin. That's it. అక్కడ ఒక 3 to 4 battles రెఫర్ చేశాం. ఇక్కడ 2 to 3 battles. The most famous battle happened to be Battle of Talikote. Or Banni Hatti. Some different technical terms. So, Rayas of South India, Bahamanis of Deccan constantly fought for Krishna Tungabhadra basin, otherwise called as Raichur basin. This is one way of understanding. Now come to, we have one more dynasty joined, concept of cheskoli, one more dynasty joined for these conflicts, that is Kalinga. Kalinga or Orissa at this point of time was ruling by Gajapati. Can we call it as a tripartite struggle? Right? At the top we have Bahamanis. On the other hand we have Rayas, South India. On the other hand Gajapati. Tripartite struggle. Rayas versus Bahamanis annappudu Raichur Doab or Krishna Tungabhadra basin. Source of conflict. Bahamanis versus Gajapatis, Krishna Godavari basin. And the same Krishna Godavari basin for Gajapatis versus Raya. See, conflicts are inevitable. Reasons change అవుతాయి. నేను జియోపొలిటికల్ కాన్ఫ్లిక్ట్స్ అనండి, సెక్టేరియన్ కాన్ఫ్లిక్ట్స్ అనండి, మన కుల అనండి, నథింగ్ ఇస్ రాంగ్. ఎవ్రీవేర్ యూ కమ్ అక్రాస్ కాన్ఫ్లిక్ట్స్. సో ట్రైపార్టైట్ స్ట్రగుల్. అంటే ఒక 2 లైన్స్లో ఈ ప్రొవిన్షియల్ కింగ్డమ్స్ మొత్తం ఐడియా పెట్టుకోవాలి, చాలా ఈజీ. ఫైటింగ్ ఫర్ రైచూర్ దోఆబ్, రాయాస్ versus Bahamanis. Fighting for KG basin, Gajapatis versus Bahamanis. The same KG basin, Gajapatis versus Bahamanis. Now come to Vijayan Empire, 1336 to somewhere what we call say 1620, the last dynasty, that is Aravitis antam. So the empire was ruled by 4 famous dynasties. Recollect చేసుకోవాలి. Magadhan Empire, Delhi Sultanate, Vijayanagara Empire. Magadhan Empire was ruled by group of dynasties. Delhi Sultanate was ruled by group of dynasties. Vijayanagara Empire also ruled by group of dynasties. That is like Sangama dynasty, Salwa dynasty, Tuluva dynasty, and Aravati dynasty. When it comes to religion పరంగా మనం అర్థం చేసుకున్నట్లయితే, except Tuluvas, remaining all rulers belonged to Shaivism. Remaining all rulers belong to Shaivism. Then how about Tuluva rulers? They belong to Vaishnavism. When it comes to religion, because we found questions, hard one out. The questions ఏ విధంగా అడుగుతారు చూడండి. మనం ఇక్కడ ట్రెడిషనల్గా the empire was ruled by Sangama, Salvas, Tuluvas, Aravitis. అద్దప మొచ్చమట్టు ఏముంది, పేపర్ చూసినప్పుడు మా హిస్టరీ సార్ లోటపీస్ సార్ ఏం చెప్పలేదు, ఆయన మీద అక్షింతలేసి బయటకు వచ్చి నీళ్ళు తాగి ప్రశాంతంగా అయిపోయింది. అంటే డిఫరెంట్ పర్సెప్షన్లో క్వశ్చన్స్ అడుగుతున్నారు. ద మెయిన్ మోటో, యాజ్ ఐ వాస్ టెల్లింగ్ ఇన్ ద ప్రీవియస్ సెషన్, ద మెయిన్ మోటో ఆఫ్ పబ్లిక్ సర్వీస్ కమిషన్స్ టు ఎలిమినేట్. మళ్ళీ ఎలిమినేట్ కాకుండా ఉండాలంటే కొంచెం డిఫరెంట్గా కాన్సెప్ట్ అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి. ఐ రిపీట్, ద ఎంపైర్ వాజ్ రూల్డ్ బై 4 famous dynasties, Sangamas, Saluvas, Tuluvas and Aravitis. We found it was Sangama dynasty which created or which started geopolitical conflicts with Bahamanis. Sangama rulers initiated geopolitical conflicts with Bahamanis or for Raichur Doab. When it comes to Salwa rulers initiated the conflicts with Gajapati. Now come to Tulwa rulers. Tulwa rulers on one hand, concept అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి. Tulwa rulers on one hand got command over Raichur Doab, on the other hand KG Basin. That's the aroma of Tulwa rulers. ప్రతి పాయింట్ చదవద్దు, ఐడియా పెట్టుకోవాలి. Summary. You may come across half a dozen rulers in Sangama dynasty. Summary ఏంటి? Okay, Sangama rulers initiated geopolitical conflicts with Gulbarga, that is Bahmanis, XYZ battles. Now Sangama dynasty was replaced by Salwa dynasty. Having got command over Raichur Doab, the same Salwa rulers focused on Krishna basin, Krishna Godavari basin. They got command over. But on one occasion, they were badly beaten by Gajapati. So having found some sort of disturbances in empire, Tulwa rulers rose to the power. This is how what we call Salwa dynasty was replaced by Tulwa dynasty. And we found ambitious rulers in Tulwa dynasty. What's the name of ambitious ruler in Tulwa dynasty? ఆ తేజస్సు ముఖాన్ని చూస్తే కడుపు నిండిపోతుంది. తెలుగు కళామ తల్లి ముద్దు బిడ్డారు. సో వెన్ ఎవర్ యూ ట్రావెల్ టు తిరుపతి యూ కమ్ అక్రాస్, అంటే మనకు ఈ మెయిన్ టెంపుల్ ఉంటుందిగా, ఒక 100 మీటర్స్లో మనకు ఈ పుర వీధిలో ఉంటుంది. అక్కడ యూ కమ్ అక్రాస్ ద స్కల్ప్చర్ శ్రీకృష్ణదేవరాయ and his two wives, Chinnamma Devi and Tirumala Devi. He had half a dozen wives. Right. So it was Sri Krishna Devaraya, SKD. It was Sri Krishna Devaraya. By using so many strategies, got command over Raichur Doab, and by using so many strategies, same gentleman got command over Krishna Godavari basin. Outcome: during Tulwa rulers, the Vijayanagara Empire reached to the climax in all ways, in terms of territories, in terms of power, in terms of economic prosperity, in terms of temple what not, in terms of foreign travelers. Now the story starts Sri Krishna Devaraya, the reign period of Sri Krishna Devaraya 1509 to 1529. Now from 1529, the year in which Sri Krishna Devaraya passed away, అప్పటి నుంచి gradual decline of Rayas. Observe చేయాలి. The moment you talk about an empire reached to the heights, next what? Decline. Whatever strategies to which Sri Krishna Devaraya got command over Raichur Doab, the same strategies not followed by his inefficient successor. అందుకనే దాన్ని చాలా పాజ్గా అన్వర్దీ సన్ ఆఫ్ వర్దీ ఫాదర్ అంటే చిన్నబాబు కావచ్చు, చాలా మంది unworthy son of a worthy father. Like Papa, son also fantastic, worthy son of a worthy father. Jagannath Reddy garu, for example, manaku Telangana KTR sir, worthy son. See, I'm not a mouthpiece of any political party. నాకేం పైసలు ఇవ్వలేదు, ఏదో అభిమానం గురించి చెప్తాను అంతే. आपके पास कौन वर्दी है पॉलिटिशियन? अच्छा, कोई भी नहीं है. अच्छा, politicians cannot be worthy. అయిపోయింది. The worst among the best. బాగుంది, మంచి ఫిలాసఫీ. నేర్చుకోండియా, మీరున్నారు జెండాలు వేయడానికి. ఓకే అంటే మాకు మోసి అలవాటు అయిపోయింది సార్. ఓల్డ్ హ్యాబిట్స్ డై కదా, ఓల్డ్ హ్యాబిట్స్ డై హార్డ్. మనమే పొలిటికల్ పార్టీ, యూ ఓన్లీ. అమ్మ వెరీ గుడ్. ఎందుకు సార్ వాళ్ళ గురించి చెప్పవు? అభిమానం లేదు కాబట్టి చెప్పట్లేదు, వీళ్ళ గురించి అభిమానం ఉండవు. చలో. సో ఆఫ్టర్ ద డెత్ ఆఫ్ శ్రీ కృష్ణ దేవరాయ we found gradual decline. Now there was a famous battle fought between Vijayanagara rulers and Bahmanis at a place called Tallikota. Battle of Tallikota, otherwise called as Battle of Bannihatti, otherwise called as Battle of Rakshasa Tangadi. 1565. So the battle fought between Confederation, Kutami, Confederation versus Vijayanagara Empire. Confederation consisted of except Berar remaining Muslim kingdoms. We found a question: when Sri Krishna Devaraya was ruler, which of the following important events took place in Bahmani Sultanate? Question ఏ విధంగా అడుగుతున్న అర్థం చేసుకోండి. I've been instructing people, go through previous year question papers. When you go through previous year question papers, you understand the nature of the questions. Your preparation can be molded based on previous year question paper. See, జనరల్గా చదువుతుంటాం మేము, ఒక ప్రొఫార్మలో చదువుతుంటాం. ఆ ప్రీవియస్ ఇయర్ క్వశ్చన్ చూసినట్లు ఏమవుతుందంటే ఇంకా కొంచెం ఓకే దీన్ని ఈ విధంగా అర్థం చేసుకోవాలని వస్తుంది. ద క్వశ్చన్ ఆస్క్డ్, వెన్ Sri Krishna Devaraya was ruling over Vijayanagara Empire, which of the famous events took place in Bahmani Sultanate? ఉన్నప్పుడు Bahmani Sultanate got disintegrated into 5 Muslim kingdoms. ఇది ఫేమస్. మనం లాస్ట్ క్లాస్ రెఫర్ చేసి ఉండొచ్చు. అహ్మద్నగర్, బీదర్, బీజాపూర్, గోల్కొండ అండ్ బేరార్. 5 Muslim kingdoms. Then why didn't Berar join confederation against Rayas? Rayas are Vijayanagara rulers of South India, because Berar got assistance from Sri Krishna Devaraya once. బా 10,000 కొట్టు బా అని చెప్పాను. గూగుల్ పే నెంబర్ పంపించాడు, కొట్టాడు. కృతజ్ఞత. కొంతమందికి లోటపీస్ కృతజ్ఞత ఉండదు, ఏముండదు. ఆడిచ్చిన పైసలు ఏడిచ్చిన పైసలు తీసుకొని ఇంట్లో కూర్చుంటారు. ఓటు కూడా ఏదన్నమాట. సమజ్దార్ కిషోర కాఫీ నేను ఒకరి గురించి చెప్పట్లేదు. మాకు తగిలింది సార్ అంటే నేనేం చేయలేదు. సో ఇక్కడ అహ్మద్నగర్, బీదర్, బీజాపూర్, గోల్కొండ, బేరార్ ఉన్నప్పుడు వై డిడ్ బేరార్ పార్టిసిపేట్ ఇన్ ద బ్యాటిల్ అన్నప్పుడు బికాస్ బేరార్ హ్యాడ్ సమ్ సార్ట్ ఆఫ్ గ్రాటిట్యూడ్, బికాస్ వెన్ బేరార్ వాజ్ ఇన్ క్రైసిస్, on the request of Berar ruler, Sri Krishna Devaraya assisted Berar. Thereby Berar did not join Battle of Talikote. The remaining Muslim kingdoms, we found questions. Battle of Talikote fought in the year 1565 between Bahmani Confederation and Vijayanagara rulers. Vijayanagara rulers shattered to pieces. What was the response of Bahmani Confederation? They plundered Hampi capital. They also plundered temples. Hampi reduced to the ashes. What is the response of the remaining rulers of Vijayanagara? They simply ran away to Penukonda, Anantapur district of Andhra Pradesh. This is how they had to shift capital from Hampi to Penukonda. The same episode which we have learned as part of Shatavahanas. Koncha connect chesukovali. Shatavahanas were badly beaten by Rudradaman, one of the famous rulers from Shaka dynasty. Right? This is how the capital got shifted from Pratishtanapura to కట్ కాపీ అండ్ పేస్ట్. అంటే ఇలాంటి ఎపిసోడ్స్ వచ్చినప్పుడు అక్కడ రాసుకోవాలి, సో దట్ ఇక్కడ మనకు రీకలెక్ట్ అవుతుంది. సో ఇట్స్ ఆల్ అబౌట్ పొలిటికల్ హిస్టరీ. Now it was Sri Krishna Devaraya who was associated with Ashtadiggajars, the 8 prominent scholars. The tradition says live in the court of Sri Krishna Devaraya. Which ruler associated with Navaratnas? Not Reddy garu, Jagannath Reddy garu. Okay. Chandragupta the second, or Chandragupta Vikramaditya. Chandragupta Vikramaditya or Chandragupta II, Navaratnas. When it comes to Sri Krishna Devaraya Ashtadiggajars, we have Allasani Peddana, Nandi Timmana, say Tenali Ramakrishna and others. Tenali Ramakrishna, చాలా మందికి ఐడియా ఉండొచ్చు. అమ్మో, the most wit అన్నమాట. సో మన ఆర్కిటెక్చర్ అన్నప్పుడు we have 3 temple shrines, right? Nagara, Vesara and Dravida. Now come to Vijayanagara rulers built many temples. In which style of architecture? I repeat the question. Vijayanagara rulers built many temples in which style of architecture? How many says Dravida? Sir, say it and Mokhal Jutta. Dravidian style. So how many says Vesara style? Vesara style. So very good. So right answer is Dravidian style. Why Dravidian style? బికాస్ దే రూల్డ్ ఓవర్ సౌత్ ఇండియా. ఇంకే టెంపుల్లో కడతారు, ఏ స్టైల్లో కడతారు, కొంచెం కామన్ సెన్స్ యూజ్ చేయరాదు. If Vijayanagar rulers would have ruled over Deccan, obviously they might have built temples in Visara style then. Vijayanagar rulers ruled over South India, base and South India, Dravidian style. So Vidyakshara temple, Hazara Ramaswamy temple, Vithala temple. Vithala, one of the forms of Lord Vishnu. The significance of Vithala temple, just go through. That is, it has got Mantapa, which has got 56 pillars, musical pillars, right? So in the way we tap these pillars collectively, like they give sounds. మనకు సప్త స్వరాలు అంటాం, సా రి గా మా, ఇవన్నీ సప్త స్వరాలు, రైట్? విరూపాక్ష టెంపుల్ మనం ఇందాక రెఫర్ చేశాం. Vijayanagar rulers built temples in Dravidian style. One of the famous features of Dravidian style, Gopuram, followed by large mantapas, mandapamu, mantapa. Mantapa is a Sanskrit term, Telugu term mandapa, large hall with many pillars. Mandapa, a hall with pillars. Another famous temple, Veerabhadra Swami temple at Lepakshi, near Hindupur, Anantapur district of Andhra Pradesh. Hindupur, Balai Babu constituency, is Abhimanam. So the significance of Veerabhadra Swami temple located at Lepakshi, Hindupur, Anantapur district. So it has got the huge monolithic Nandi, vehicle of Lord Shiva, and the same temple has got paintings, fresco paintings. To understand in this way, Vijayanagar rulers built religious structures, secular structures. Religious structures were built in Dravidian style. Besides Dravidian style, they also took the features of Hoysala style. From last class refer chesam. After the decline of Cholas, Chola territory is divided into two parts. What were they? Chola territory is divided into two parts, Madurai and Dwarasamudra. Madurai was taken by Pandyas, Dwarasamudra was taken by Hoysala. I repeat, religious structures were built in Dravidian style. Besides Dravidian style, they also took Hoysala features. Enti Hoysala features annappudu, like the so-called, what do we call, sculptures. In fact, sculptures, one of the major features of Hindu style or temple style, right? కానీ ఇక్కడ హోయసాల టెంపుల్స్లో భయంకరమైన స్కల్ప్చర్ ఉంటుంది. ఈ స్కల్ప్చర్ అనే కాన్సెప్ట్ని తీసుకోవడం జరిగింది. నౌ కమ్ టు సెక్యులర్ స్ట్రక్చర్స్. సెక్యులర్ స్ట్రక్చర్స్ వర్ బిల్ట్ ఇన్ Indo-Islamic style of architecture. Religious structures, Dravidian style and Hoysala. Secular structures in Indo-Islamic style. ఇది ఒక్కటి గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి. The best example, Lotus Mahal, Hampi. This is a stepped tank, once again Hampi. Now come to, in medieval India, the term Fanam referred to coins. Fanam, Panam, Karshya Pana. According to the Portuguese writer Nunes, the women in Vijayanagar Empire were expert in which of the following areas? As I was telling, you have to focus on foreign travelers and their observations. I repeat, According to the Portuguese writer Nunes, the women in Vijayanagara Empire were expert in which of the following areas? Wrestling, astrology, accounting, soothsaying. What's the right answer? Wrestling, dangal, right? Gita babita, right? So when it comes to astrology, accounting, soothsaying is nothing but jyotishyam, sodi, kurru. All right. Chalo, right answer is option D, 1, 2, 3 and 4. And even the women also served as royal bodyguards to emperors. Consider the following statements. It was during the reign of Altamash. In fact, already we discussed. No, it is very question. It was during the reign of Altamash that Genghis Khan raised the Indus in pursuit of the fugitive Khwarizmi prince. Yes, last class lo Mongol invasions lo bhanga raskunnam, right? Second one, it was during the reign of Muhammad bin Tughlaq that Timur occupied Multan and crossed the Indus. Muhammad bin Tughlaq, right? No, it was during the reign of Devaraya II of Vijayanagara Empire that Vasco da Gama reached the coast of Kerala. Devaraya II lived in 16th century when it comes, 15th century, early years of 15th century. When it comes to Vasco da Gama, the gentleman reached Kerala coast in the last years of 15th century. There was a gap of at least 30 years between Devaraya II and Vasco da Gama. Even when you go through previous year question papers, you come across when Babur was invading Hindustan. One last class refrigeration. Why did Rana Sangram Singh of Mewar and the gentleman like Daulat Khan Lodi of Punjab, why did they invite and Bhang Raskunam? So when Babur was invading Hindustan, rulers గురించి అడిగాను. మనకు నార్త్ ఇండియాలో ఉన్నారు, రాజ్పుత్లో ఫేమస్ రూలర్స్ ఎవరున్నారు, డెక్కన్లో ఫేమస్ రూలర్స్ ఎవరున్నారు, తర్వాత సౌత్ ఇండియాలో ఫేమస్ రూలర్స్ ఎవరు? మనకు సౌత్ ఇండియాలో ఫేమస్ రూలర్ వచ్చేసి శ్రీకృష్ణదేవరాయ. ఇక శ్రీకృష్ణదేవరాయ రీన్ పీరియడ్ వచ్చేసి 1509-29, బాబర్ 1526. కొంచెం కనెక్ట్ చేసుకోండి. Right answer for this question, option A, only one. Which of the following was a very important seaport in the Kakatiya kingdom? Motupalli, Prakasham district of Andhra Pradesh. Consider the following pairs. On one hand, medieval Indian state, on the other hand, the local peasant region. Champaka, Durgara, Kuluta. Champaka, Central India. Durgara, Jammu. Kuluta, Malabar. The right answer for this question 1 and 2 only. Option A. Who of the following founded a new city on the south bank of a tributary to river Krishna and undertook to rule his new kingdom as the agent of a deity to whom all the land of south of the river Krishna was supposed to belong? ఎక్కడ కూడా హింట్ ఇవ్వలేదు. ఏదో ఒక జనరల్ స్టేట్మెంట్ చెప్పి హింట్ ఇవ్వకపోయినా మనం హింట్ తెచ్చుకోవాలన్నమాట. రైట్? హూ ఆఫ్ ది ఫాలోయింగ్ ఫౌండెడ్ ఇన్ న్యూ సిటీ? న్యూ సిటీ వచ్చేసి విజయనగర్. కొంచెం బ్యాంక్ on the south bank of tributary to river Krishna, and one of the tributaries of river Krishna, Tungabhadra. మెల్లగా హరిహర వీరమ్మల దగ్గరికి వెళ్ళాలి. ఓకే, జనరల్ చెప్తాను. In medieval India, the designations Mahattara and Pattakila were used for village headmen. In ancient, like we used to call Gramini, Grama Bhojaka, Gramaka. We have different technical terms. The same medieval India lo Mahattara Pattakila. Right, now come to Bahmanis. As far as Bahmani Sultanate is concerned, how in 1336 Vijayanagar Empire established against onslaughts of Muslim Empire. In 1347 we found Bahmani. Harihara Raya Bukka Raya were responsible for the setting up of Hindu kingdom on the banks of river Tungabhadra, otherwise called as Pampavati. Over a period of time, the same Vijayanagar kingdom emerged as an empire under the guidance of Tuluvas and all. Right, now come to Bahmanis. In 1347, there was a governor of Muhammad bin Tughlaq in Deccan by name Hasan Gang Bahman Shah. So the gentleman declared himself as independent, with Gulbarga as a capital. The same Hasan Gang Bahman Shah was badly beaten by Rayas of South, to be specific, Sangama rulers. దాన్ని ఏమంటామంటే జియోపొలిటికల్ కాన్ఫ్లిక్ట్స్ అంటాం for Raichur Doab or Krishna Tungabhadra basin. It went on. And after the death of the gentleman, we found Firozu Shah Bahman, a prominent ruler you call him. మళ్ళీ ఈసారి ఏం చేశాడంటే సంగమ రూలర్స్ వాళ్ళ వీకాడు. తెలిసి బాతే కట్ చేస్తే ద సేమ్ ఫిరోజ్ షా బహమన్ గాట్ కమాండ్ ఓవర్ Raichur Doab. After the death of Firoz Shah Bahman, the Bahmani Empire never produced great rulers under lot of his rulers. Cut jeste, we have Saluva rulers got command over Krishna Tungabhadra basin. At the same time, Tuluva rulers also got command over Krishna Tungabhadra basin. మనం ఇందాక రెఫర్ చేశాం. One of the famous rulers from Vijayanagar Empire, Sri Krishna Devaraya. When SKD was a ruler, we found a disintegration of Bahmani Sultanate into 5 Muslim kingdoms. That is Ahmednagar, Berar, Bidar, Bijapur and Golconda. Having understood the disunity among these Bahmani kingdoms, so Sri Krishna Devaraya did not take much time in getting command over Raichur Doab. But out of 5 Muslim kingdoms, the most famous Muslim kingdom happened to be Bijapur. Bijapur fought 2 famous battles with Sri Krishna Devaraya, wherein Sri Krishna Devaraya emerged as victorious. After the death of Sri Krishna Devaraya, the ruler from Golconda kingdom by name Ibrahim Kuli Qutub Shah understood the policy of dissensions or the policy of wit, the diplomatic policy of Rayas. ఎందుకంటే Sri Krishna Devaraya ensured that there shouldn't be any kind of unity among the Muslim kingdoms. There shouldn't be any kind of unity among the Muslim kingdoms. Once they become united, they give blows. So you shall ensure there shouldn't be any kind of unity. So having understood the strategy of Sri Krishna Devaraya or Vijayanagar rulers, Ibrahim Kuli Qutub Shah, the ruler from Golconda kingdom, convinced the remaining Muslim kingdoms and brought unity. And the same gentleman was responsible for formation of confederation. And the same confederation gave a blow to Rayas in 1565. That is Battle of Talikote. Right. It's all about what we call Mughal. It's all about provincial kingdoms. When it comes to provincial kingdoms, మనం ఒక పాయింట్ అర్థం చేసుకున్నట్లయితే we have 5 Muslim kingdoms. ఈ 5 Muslim kingdoms ఏవైతే ఉన్నాయో, Berar was annexed by Ahmednagar. 5 Muslim kingdoms. What is the fate of 5 Muslim kingdoms అన్నప్పుడు Berar was annexed by Ahmednagar kingdom, right? Bidar was taken by Bijapur. And how many left? I'm talking about the finally. How many left? 3. Ahmednagar, Bijapur and Golconda. Right. The same Ahmednagar was taken to Mughal Empire by Shah Jahan. పొట్టుని పొడుగుని పోసమ కొడుతుంది, కొంచెం లేట్గా వచ్చాము కొట్టడం. You have taken Berar and you have taken by someone else. అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి. Out of 5 Muslim kingdoms, when I say Berar was annexed to Ahmednagar, For a period of time, the same Ahmednagar was annexed to Mughal Empire by Shah Jahan. Now, Bijapur was annexed to Mughal Empire by Aurangzeb. The same Golconda was also annexed to Mughal Empire, same Aurangzeb. Once again, political unity. Right. Chalo, it's all about it. Next, start with that is Mughal Empire. So come back, we're discussing the ancient Indian history, and we did complete ancient Indian history, which has got 8 chapters and their chapterization timeline. Medieval Indian history has got 5 chapters. Early medieval age Delhi Sultanate provincial kingdoms. Now start with Mughal Sultanate. So as far as Mughal Sultanate is concerned, the Mughal Empire 1526 to 1857. So start with that is keywords. What are the keywords you have to focus on? Keywords. One of the famous areas, not political history, but like administration with the focus really, at the same time general conditions, society, economy and culture, especially art and architecture. Subha, administration. Subha, the provinces of Mughal Empire. Subhas were the provinces of Mughal Empire. Sarkars, districts of Mughal Empire. Paraganas, mandals of Mughal Empire. What do we call provinces of Mauryans? Deshas, Uttara Desha, Dakshina Desha, or Pathas, Uttara Patha, Dakshina Patha. What do we call provinces of Guptans? Bhuktis. What do we call provinces of Delhi Sultanate? Ikhtas, provinces of Mughals. Subhas. Ikhtas, Ikhtedars. Subha, Subedar. Right? So administrative units. Next, Ibadat Khana, prayer hall. Ibadat Khana, prayer hall. Banjara. What does it mean Banjara? Banjara is a Persian term. English version? Nomads. Mobile traders. Right? Banjara is a Persian term. English version, nomads are mobile traders. You also call them caravan traders. For example, manaku Hyderabad lo Banjara Hills undi. Right? When Qutub Shahis, Asaf Jahis were the masters of Golconda kingdom, ఈ మొబైల్ ట్రేడర్స్ ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో ఈ మొబైల్ ట్రేడర్స్ caravans, the one who move from one place to another place, so they used to take halt in hilly places. So gradually the places, the territories are named after them. Banjara Hills. And don't ask Jubilee Hills. Even we have Habshi Guda in Hyderabad. Habshids, one of the races in Islamic society. What are Shudras for Hindu society? Habshis for Muslim society. Slaves, African blacks, Negroes. So when same Qutub Shahis and Asaf Jahis kalamlo, the African black Muslims like they used to reside with the place. So gradually the place is named after them. Habsi Guda. Right? Don't ask Kachi Guda, Yusuf Guda. Now come to polars. Polars is one of the what we call say types of land. Right? Polars, Parauti, Chachar, Banjar antam. Right? Zagirdar Zamindar మీద అట్లీస్ట్ మనకు ఒక 2 క్వశ్చన్స్ పడ్డాయి. Zagirdar Zamindar. Mansabdar, Francois Bernier, Tansen, and translations from Sanskrit to Persian, from Sanskrit to Arabic అంటుంది. Now come to, as far as political history of Mughal Empire is concerned, very అంత extremely important కాదు, ఒక ఐడియా పెట్టుకోవాలి, రైట్? For our convenience and exam point of view, entire Mughal Empire, the span of Mughal Empire broadly divided into two parts, that is the phase of ascendancy or greater Mughals and the phase of descendancy, later Mughals. Phase of ascendancy 1526 to 1707, where you have to focus for about half a dozen rulers, right from Babur to Aurangzeb. When it comes to later Mughals, from 1707 to 1857, right from Bahadur Shah the first to Bahadur Shah the second. Andaru kuda lot of his rulers, fit for nothing, always associated with women and wine. వీళ్ళు ఎంతో కష్టపడి సామ్రాజ్యాన్ని నిర్మిస్తే వాళ్ళు అంతే కష్టపడి సామ్రాజ్యాన్ని తోడుకోవడం జరిగింది, రైట్? వీళ్ళని కళాకారులు అనాలి అన్నప్పుడు వాళ్ళను కూడా కళాకారులు, అందరూ కూడా కళాకారులు. గుడ్. Now come to greater Mughals లో భాగంగా, for example Babur. So as far as Babur 1526 1530, Humayun 1530-40, and there was a gap of 15 years. The 15 years, the gap was fulfilled by a dynasty called Sur dynasty, to which Sher Shah Sur belonged to. You might have learned, as part of Delhi Sultanate, out of 5 dynasties ruled over Delhi Sultanate, which dynasty belonged to Afghan race? Lodi dynasty. Let me tell you, even Sur rulers also belonged to Afghan race. How Hindu society got classified on the basis of caste? Brahmin, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. Islamic society got classified on the basis of race. What were they? Sunni, Shia, sects. Sects are different, race is different. Hinduism though, Shaivism, Vaishnavism, sects. Brahmin, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras, caste. Ikkada race annappudu Turkish race, Afghan race, otherwise called as Pathan race, Sheikh Zadas, and finally Habashis. You can compare with Chaturna system. The Turkish race can be compared with Brahmanas or Brahmins of Hindu society. Say Afghan race or Pathan race can be compared with Kshatriyas of Hindu society. Sheikh Zadas can be compared with Vaishyas of Hindu society, and Habashis can be compared with. Criteria మారచ్చు, కానీ discrimination is inevitable, right? So what I'm trying to tell you, out of 5 dynasties ruled over Delhi Sultanate, first 4 dynasties belonged to Turkish race, and the rulers of the last dynasty, that is Lodi dynasty, belonged to Afghan race. Now come to the rulers of Sur dynasty also belonged to Afghan race. A small dynasty ruled over Hindustan for about 15 years. So there was a gap or interregnum in Mughal Empire అన్నప్పుడు ఈ గ్యాప్ ని ఎవరు ఫుల్ఫిల్ చేశారు అన్నప్పుడు Sur dynasty. They belonged to Afghan race, and especially Sher Shah Sur మీద ఫోకస్ చేయాలి, because the gentleman was responsible for introducing a radical reform. What is the name of the reform? Even today we follow is land reform. ఏమంటాం ఆ land reform? Raitwari system. It was Sher Shah Sur who was responsible for introducing Raitwari system. ఈ Raitwari system లో for the first time land ownership was given to cultivators. Until then we used to call these cultivators as peasants. Now from the days of Sher Shah Sur, we started calling these cultivators as farmers. Right? Persian term, English version farmer. Telugulo kuda raitu antam. Right? Chalo. So Akbar followed by Jahangir followed by Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb. Now come to Babur. Very peripheral information. Let us not spend much time. As far as Babur is concerned, like the gentleman had come from Central Asia, and he was a descendant of Taimur from his father, and Genghis Khan from his mother. That is the reason Rana Sangram Singh and others invited the gentleman, but ఇక్కడికి వచ్చి మనసు మార్చుకున్నాడు అని చెప్తాం, కైండ్ ఆఫ్. సో 1526 Panipat the first, 27 Kanwaha, 28 Chanderi, and 29 Ghogra or Ghagra. In 1530 Babur passed away, right? Now come to, what is the significance of Panipat the First, which fought in the 1526 between Babur forces and Ibrahim Lodi? Establishment of Mughal Empire. Good. ఇంకేమైనా ఉందా significance? కొంచెం గట్టిగా. Introduction of gunpowder. Let me tell you, introduction of gunpowder, it was there right from the days of Khilji's. But battlefields లో gunpowder introduce చేశారు. కొంచెం క్లారిటీ రే. Gunpowder was not introduced by Babur. We found question. Previous question చూడాలి. Right? Gunpowder was not introduced by Babur. Already it was there with Delhi Sultanate. ఎందుకంటే whenever you come across royal coronation ceremony, some sort of Bharat ane nenu or Revanth Reddy ane nenu, coronation ceremony, right? Rajadi Raja, Mas Maharaj untadu kada. ఈ రాయల్ coronation ceremony, during royal coronation ceremony, they used to have bombs, right? Even today, ఈవెన్ ప్రీ వెడ్డింగ్లో కూడా బాంబ్స్ లేపుతున్నాను జనం, సమాచారానికి కాదు, జనం చెప్తున్నా. మళ్ళీ ఈ మందుగుండు సామాగ్రి ఏదైతే ఉందో, ద సో కాల్డ్ గన్ పౌడర్ ఏదైతే ఉందో, యుద్ధంలో బ్యాటిల్ ఫీల్డ్స్లో ఇంట్రొడ్యూస్ చేసినటువంటి వ్యక్తి బాబర్. వెన్ ఐ సే పానిపట్ ది ఫస్ట్ సిగ్నిఫికెన్స్ అన్నప్పుడు, ఢిల్లీ సల్తనేట్ వాజ్ రీప్లేస్డ్ బై ముఘల్ సల్తనేట్. సిగ్నిఫికెన్స్, ఈ సిగ్నిఫికెన్స్ మీద ఫోకస్ చేయాలి, రైట్? చలో, సో ఇట్స్ ఆల్ అబౌట్ బాబర్ ఫాలోడ్ బై హిస్ సన్ హుమాయూన్. దానికంటే ముందు, కన్సిడర్ ద ఫాలోయింగ్ స్టేట్మెంట్స్. 2015, ద అరైవల్ ఆఫ్ బాబర్ ఇన్ టు ఇండియా లెడ్ టు ది ఇంట్రొడక్షన్ ఆఫ్ గన్ పౌడర్ ఇన్ ఇండియన్ సబ్ కాంటినెంట్, introduction of the arch and dome in the region's architecture, introduction of the arch and dome in the regions of architecture. Once again, no, because already it was there with Delhi Sultanate. Sultans of Delhi built so many constructions, obviously in Indo-Islamic style. You might have learned Hindu style and Muslim style. Hindu style, the weight of the monument would be kept on pillars and beams. The weight of the monument. Even today we follow Hindu style. Pillar laid, beam laid, cotton, concrete. Then how about Muslim structures? The weight of the Muslim monuments would be kept on dome. Arch and dome. It was not introduced by Babur. It was there with Delhi Sultanate. So first statement is incorrect. Second statement also incorrect. Establishment. Third one, establishment of Taimur dynasty in the region. Yes, because this Babu belonged to Taimur family, from his papa, from his mama, right? Now come to Humayun. So whatever territories Humayun received from his father Babur, the respective territories taken by Humayun, and he distributed the respective territories among his brothers and Kabul and Kandahar was given to Kamran, XYZ territories, and he kept, that is say Agra and Delhi. So remaining territories were given to his own brothers. And he committed XYZ blunders. One of the blunders, that is he did not maintain good relations with Rajputs, especially of Mewar. The ruler of Mewar kingdom, by name Rana Sangram Singh, he died of what? Insult, because he was badly beaten by Babur. Rajputs can't take defeat. Once they get defeat, they commit suicide. It's a kind of insult, right? So when Mewar ruler Rana Sangram Singh passed away, he was not killed by Babur, he passed away. What was the response of his widow queen Rani Karmavati? She made her minor son on the throne and she started exercising powers. and she understood the powerful Mughals, and she decided to maintain good relations with Mughals. As part of good relations, friendly relations, historical sources tell us she sent a Rakhi to Humayun. Rakhi is a symbol of friendship, symbol of unity. కానీ ఒక వర్గము 10 రూపాయల రాఖీ కట్టి 10,000 కొడతారు. జనరల్ చెప్తున్నా, సీరియస్గా తీసుకోవాలి. రైట్? సో when she sent Rakhi to Humayun, what is the response of Humayun? Humayun rejected Rakhi. This is how already there was a gap between Mewar and Mughals. The Rakhi further created the gap. The same Mewar did not even accept the power of Akbar. When the remaining Rajput kingdoms accepted, they started bowing down their heads in front of Akbar, but not Mewar. Akbar convinced, నీకు దండం పెడతావు, 10 రాఖీలు పంపి ఇప్పుడు కట్టుకుంటాను చెప్పాను. మా అయ్య లొట పీస్ వాడు తెలియదు, వాడు లొట పీస్ అయిపోయింది దాని ఇప్పుడు బంగ్లాదేశ్ నువ్వు పంపి అని చెప్పి, నో కుదరదని చెప్పాను. And we found some sort of the battle between Mewar rulers and Akbar, the battle of Haldighati and all that. Right? అంటే కొన్ని బ్లండర్స్ చేశాడు అంటాం. సో obviously he had to pay for that, and we found there were 2 famous battles. Just go through, that is 1539 and 1540. 1539 battle of Chausa, right, between Sher Khan or Sher Shah and the Humayun forces, and 1540 battle of Kanauj, otherwise called as battle of Bilgrami. So in the 2 battles, Humayun was badly beaten by Sher Khan. What is the response of Sher Khan? Sher Khan occupied Agra and Delhi. This is how he declared himself as Sher Shah. Sher, tiger; Shah, emperor. The tiger among the emperors. ప్రతి ఓడు జంతువులతో పోల్చుకోవడం. అక్కడ నరసింహ, భగవంత్ కేసరి, అంద సింహ, నటసింహ, నటసార్వభౌమ. Okay, so this is how Mughal territories were taken by Sher Khan antam. So what is the response of the gentleman Humayun? Humayun became a king without kingdom. He started contacting his lot of his brothers. Not even a single brother helped Humayun. Under these circumstances, the same Humayun received political shelter. How? Haha Hasina received political shelter from Hindustan. How Dalai Lama received political shelter from Hindustan. How Taslima Nasrin, the Bangladesh women scholar, also received political shelter from Hindustan. కొంచెం పెద్దమని చేసుకోవాలి, మాకు తెలుగులో సామెత ఉంటుంది, ఏ కూతురు దొరకపోతే తక్కువ కూతురు. Throughout history, we found these traditions, right? So when Humayun did not get shelter from his support from his own brothers, from his cousin brothers, to whom he wrote, ఒక ఆయనకు 100 ఎకరాల మాగాని ఇచ్చాడు, ఇంకొక ఆయనకు 2 కార్లు ఇచ్చాడు, ఒకటి బుగాటి, ఒకటి అన్ని ఇచ్చాడు అన్నమాట. ఇంకొక ఆయన కజిన్ బ్రదర్ వచ్చాడు, బ్రో నాకు లేదని చెప్పి, సారీ బ్రో ఐ ఫర్గాట్ అరే ఈడు కూడా రాయన వీలునామని చెప్పి వాళ్ళు ఎవరి ఫోన్లు కూడా లిఫ్ట్ చేయలేదు. Under these circumstances, the same Humayun received political shelter from a Hindu Rajput ruler by name Rana Prasad Virasala, who was ruler of Amarkot, a Hindu Rajput kingdom which comes in Rajasthan. When Humayun and his family members were taking shelter at Amarkot, Andapaya, little Akbar born. Right? ఆ రోజు ఆ బాబు పుట్టాడు, ఆ ప్రాంతం పుట్టింది. నువ్వు నీ ఎలివేషన్ ఒక కూర్చోవు సార్. రైట్. సో దిస్ ఈజ్ హౌ అక్బర్ హ్యాడ్ ఇన్క్లినేషన్ టువర్డ్స్ హిందూ. అక్బర్ చెప్పిండు కదా, ఎవడో ఫ్రెండ్స్ వాళ్ళు స్కూల్లో చెప్పిండు కదా, రే నువ్వు ఎడబుట్టావు తెలుసా అని చెప్పింది. హాస్పిటల్ కాదు, రాజ్పుత్ రాజ్యంలో, రాజ్పుత్ హిందూ రాజ్యం. అవునా అని, అవును అని చెప్పాను. Of all Mughal rulers, the most secular ruler happened to be Akbar. See, ఏంటి సెక్యులర్ ఏంటి కన్జర్వేటివ్ ఏంటి అన్నప్పుడు You might be knowing, right? The environment in which you born and brought up. Simple. No one is good, no one is bad. The environment in which you born and brought up, that environment makes you as a secular, as a broad-minded, as a narrow-minded, as a bigot. Best example, Aurangzeb, చిన్నప్పటి నుంచి బోర్డింగ్ స్కూల్, పప్పా కా లవ్ పతా నీ హై, మమ్మా కా లవ్ పతా నీ హై. ఎప్పుడో సంవత్సరానికి ఒకసారి వీడియో కాల్, బేటా కైసా హో, ఆ జియో రీఛార్జ్ అయిపోతే అది కూడా అయిపోతుంది అనమాట. ఇవన్నీ నీకేది తెలుసా? జనరల్ నాలెడ్జ్ అన్నట్టు. బోర్డింగ్ స్కూల్ నువ్వు తీసుకెళ్ళి బోర్డింగ్ స్కూల్ ఎత్తివి, వాడికి మంచి జాబ్ వస్తాడు. నిన్నేం చేస్తాడు? ఆర్ఫనేజ్లో ఎత్తాడు. జనరల్ చెప్తున్నా, అందరూ అట్టే చేయరు. అసలే ఆర్ఫనైజెస్ భయంకరంగా పెడుతున్నాను. ఆల్రెడీ ఇద్దరు ముగ్గురు స్టార్ట్ చేసింటారు. అమ్మాయి స్టార్ట్ చేసింది ఆల్రెడీ. సార్ ఒకసారి వచ్చి రిబన్ కటింగ్ చేయండి, నేను రానని చెప్పాను. ఓల్డ్ ఏజ్ homes, right? Aurangzeb was not associated with love, affection. He was associated with madrasa education, laping. Obviously, everywhere you come across religious education, right? Whatever religion you talk about, only laping and mat. Nowhere you come across sarvantaryami. No, every religion says our religion is good, our religion is best. Right? But it is not the case of Akbar. Akbar was associated with the so-called secular environment. Hindu environment కావచ్చు, Sufi environment కావచ్చు, Shia environment కావచ్చు. కట్ చేస్తే secular ruler. Whatever the circumstances, so having lost the territories, even the entire information got to know by Sher Shah Sur, that is Humayun and his family members were taking shelter at Amarkot kingdom. So when Sher Shah gave a threat to Amarkot ruler, what is the response of Amarkot ruler? Amarkot ruler requested Humayun to leave. Under these circumstances, Humayun, with his family members, left to Central Asia, from where his papa has come, with a background music called Nigudu Chedrindi. Right? So all the way he traveled to Central Asia, and Central Asia was ruling by Shah Thammasp. The Shah Thammasp gave shelter to Humayun on one condition: you shall convert to Shia sect of Islam. ఎవరు నువ్వు ఏం చేయమంటే అని చెప్తాను, ఫస్ట్ బువ పెట్టు అని చెప్పాను. ఒక్క దాబాగులు లేదు, ఫస్ట్ నువ్వు బువ పెట్టు అని చెప్పాను. కన్వర్ట్ అవుతుంది కాలం మొత్తం. ఫస్ట్ Mughals belonged to Turkish race. They belonged to Sunni sect of Islam. On this condition, say Shah Thammas, the Persian ruler, gave shelter. Humayun and his family members got converted to Shia sect of Islam, because Humayun was badly in need of help, shelter. Observe here. ఈ downtrodden sections of societies ఏవైతుంటాయి, Christian missionaries target. Right? Today I'm talking about it. Because you're badly in need of respect. Right? You're badly in need of humanity. You're badly in need of gods. And thanks to the so-called selfish people, they never allowed inside the temples, nor they allowed the so-called public places and all that. Right? Unfortunately, even today, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar got fed up with Hinduism. He made all efforts to change, and he successfully failed. Kalaram temple satyagraha, Mahad satyagraha, Mahad tank satyagraha. He got fed up with Hinduism, and he professed Buddhism. Thanks to the rigidness of the selfish priestly class, which gave birth to new religion. Right? Chalo. So this is how he was there, Humayun and his family members, more than 10 years in Central Asia, and gradually they got to know weak rulers in Sur dynasty. We have Sher Shah Sur, followed by Islam Shah Sur, followed by Sikandar Shah Sur, when Sikandar Shah Sur was a ruler, Humayun, with the help of Shah Tamas, the ruler of Central Asia, got back his own territories. This is how he revived Mughal Empire on Indian soil. There was a famous battle called Battle of Sirhind, 1555. One of the famous areas for prelims exam, that is, the battle led to the revival of Mughal Empire. If no Battle of Sirhind, forget about Mughal history from Indian history. Right? So whatever the circumstances, he got back his territories, but unfortunately he did not rule so long, because after 8 months, the gentleman got met with an accidental death. కేసీఆర్ సార్ కూడా ఒక సెక్రటరీని కట్టించాడు, కానీ దాంట్లో కూర్చోలేదని చెప్తారు జనరల్గా. నేనేం చెప్పట్లేదు, బయట మాట్లాడుతుంది టీ తాగుతుంటే మాత్రం కట్టించాడు, వేరే వాళ్ళ కోసం కట్టించాడు, ఇప్పుడు వేరే సార్ కూర్చుంటానని చెప్పారు, రైట్. సో హుమయూన్ పాస్డ్ అవే. దిస్ ఈస్ హౌ ద లిటిల్ అక్బర్, చిన్న బాహుబలి బికేమ్ పెద్ద బాహుబలి, అమరేంద్ర బాహుబలి. Akbar, this is how Akbar became the ruler. And during the period of Akbar, the gentleman was extremely ambitious. Need not to tell you, was extremely ambitious, followed the policy of conquest, followed the policy of matrimonial alliances, even followed the policy of diplomacy. By using so many strategies, he got command over the vast territories. Central India కావచ్చు, వెస్టర్న్ ఇండియా కావచ్చు, నార్త్ వెస్టర్న్ ఇండియా కావచ్చు, అండ్ ఈవెన్ ఈస్టర్న్ ఇండియా కావచ్చు. అండ్ హీ ఫోకస్డ్ ఆన్ డెక్కన్. When Akbar focused on Deccan, we found 5 Muslim kingdoms. మనం ఇందాక రెఫర్ చేశాం 5 Muslim kingdoms, that is Ahmednagar, followed by Berar. So Berar was taken by Ahmednagar. We have Bidar was taken by Bijapur. Right? So what is the response of Akbar? Akbar made Ahmednagar to accept the power of Mughal. The ruler of Ahmednagar, Chand Bibi, the widow queen of Ahmednagar. We found a fierce battles between Ahmednagar forces and Mughal forces. Ahmednagar forces headed by Malik Ambar. We found a question. Malik Ambar, the Prime Minister of Ahmednagar, was popularly called as Black Sultan of Hindustan, because he was a Habashi Muslim, African Muslim. Black Sultan, Nalla Sultan. Right? And the same Malik Ambar was a military guru of Marathas. The same Malik Ambar was a military guru of Marathas. Marathas were very good at guerrilla strategies. From where guerrilla strategies? From whom they have learned the number? From Malik Ambar. So it's all about Akbar's conquest, and the same Akbar was responsible for coming up with a new religion called Deen-e-Ilahi. Being a secular, the gentleman abolished. Being a secular, he abolished what do we call pilgrimage taxes, forcible conversions, jizya tax, and he built Ibadat Khana in the 1575 at a place called Fatehpur Sikri. From last class refer chesachu. There are 2 rulers who are responsible for knowing the summary of all religions. One among them was ancient India lo Asar peremo raskunnam, Harshavardhana. Now come to medieval India, Akbar. Between 1575 to 1582, Akbar held various debates and discussions with the monks, saints of various religions. Karjes there. He had come up with a new religion called Deen-e-Ilahi. The fundamental difference between Harshavardhana and Akbar. Having understood the summary of existing religions, Harshavardhana found the best religion happened to be Buddhism and got converted to Buddhism. That's it. Now come to Akbar, he did not convert to new religion. He had come up with a new religion. When you understand the new religion, it's a mixture of various philosophies, mixture of various religions. Akbar's Deen-e-Ilahi, right? So what was an attitude of people towards Akbar's new religion, that is Deen-e-Ilahi annappudu? People did not fond of new religion. Especially Muslims started opposing Deen-e-Ilahi. Reason being, especially conservative Muslims, they attacked even Akbar. ఉలేమాస్ దయ్యం పట్టిందా అని చెప్పారు. బికాస్ ఇస్లాం సేస్ even think of second God is the biggest sin. But this gentleman had come up with a new religion. ఆ హిందూ ప్రిన్సెస్ని పెళ్లి చేసుకుని దయ్యం పట్టినాను. మెల్లగా ఐసక్క బయటకు వచ్చింది, ఏమో జరుగుతుంది. జోదా అక్బర్ అందరు రాణి జోదా, రాణి సంయుక్త, he had married at least half a dozen Rajput women, Rajput princes something. So why Akbar's new religion not popularized enough? Because he did not take any kind of measures to propagate. Unlike Ashoka used state machinery. Where? In propagation. He propagated Buddhism. Even Kanishka also propagated Buddhism. This Lota Peace ruler did not propagate it. Now principles, if you are liking it, subscribe it. If not, oga కూర్చోండి అని చెప్పాను. ఎంతమంది సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేసుకున్నారు సార్? 17 members సబ్స్క్రైబ్ చేసుకున్నారు. అక్బర్స్ న్యూ రిలీజన్ ప్రొఫెస్డ్ ఓన్లీ 17 members. వాళ్ళు కూడా సార్ ఏమన్నా అనుకుంటాడేమో మెల్లగా. One of the previous questions, the only Hindu who professed Akbar's new religion. సార్ పేరు ఉంటుంది Raja Birbal, otherwise called as Mahesh Das. The only Hindu who professed Akbar's new religion. Mahesh Das, popularly called as Raja Birbal. So what was the fate of new religion which was established by Akbar, that is Deen Ilahi, after the death of Akbar annappudu? Very simple. After the death of Akbar, Deen Ilahi also got buried along with Akbar. That's it, right? So it's all about the most secular ruler of Hindustan. So we found a question. Ibadat Khana at Fatehpur Sikri was option A, the mosque for the use of royal family. Akbar's private prayer chamber. Option C, the hall in which Akbar held discussions with scholars of various religions. And option D, the room in which the rebels belonging to different religions gathered to discuss religious affairs. Option C, the hall in which Akbar held discussions with scholars of various religions. Option C, Ibadat Khana. Ibadat, say worship, or a place where philosophical debates and discussions would take place. Next, Jahangir. After the death of Akbar, we found Jahangir, right? So Jahangir ruled from 1605 to 1627, and we don't have extreme political victories in Jahangir's period. Reason being, though he brought situation under control after the death of Akbar, he found some sort of rebellions. So these rebellions were brutally suppressed. But it was in 1611. It was in 1611 the same Jahangir got married Noor Jahan. From 1611 to 1627, the actual affairs of Mughal Empire were enjoyed by woman, that is Noor Jahan. So after Noor Jahan, we found Shah Jahan. So from the days of Noor Jahan, we found gradual decline. Enduku annappudu Noor Jahan became greedy for power. Though she was exercising power, she always making efforts to make her son-in-law by name Shahryar as the ruler of Mughal Empire, or the successor of Akbar. It was not welcomed by, that is say Khurram, otherwise called as Shah Jahan. How Noor Jahan was inclined towards her son-in-law Shahryar. Noor Jahan's brother, సార్ పేరు ఏం పేరు ఉంటుంది? Noor Jahan's brother. సార్ మా బ్రదర్ పేరే గుర్తు రావట్లేదు సార్. Noor Jahan జుంట దగ్గర రాసుకుంటాం. How did a woman rule for about 2 decades Mughal Empire annappudu? Because she created junta. Junta is a Persian term, the English version kitchen cabinet. It consisted of her father, Mirza Ghiyas Beg. He was appointed as the prime minister. He never thought he would become prime minister. దీన్ని ఏమంటామంటే కోడతే కుంభస్థలాన్ని కొట్టమంటాం. And her brother, ఆ సార్ పేరు ఏం పేరు ఉంటుంది? Asaf Khan. Her brother Asaf Khan was given a designation Mir-e-Saman. ఈ అసాఫ్ ఖాన్ ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో, Asaf Khan had a daughter Mumtaz Mahal. So Asaf Khan gave his daughter in marriage with Khurram. How Nur Jahan was making efforts to make her son-in-law as a successor of Jahangir. Obviously Asaf Khan also made the same effort. Lot of his నీ అల్లుడు సీఎం అయితే మన నాలుడు పిఎం చేస్తా అని చెప్పాను. సో సివిల్ వార్ అంటాం బిట్వీన్ నూర్ జహాన్ అండ్ అసాఫ్ ఖాన్. మళ్ళీ ఈ సివిల్ వార్లో ద సేమ్ ఖుర్రం, సన్-ఇన్-లా ఆఫ్ అసాఫ్ ఖాన్, లైక్ సే డిఫీటెడ్, కిల్డ్ and Shahryar and arrested Nur Jahan, and she was kept in prison. This is how Khurram became the ruler of Mughal Empire with a title called Shah Jahan. Shah, Emperor, Jahan, Universe, the Emperor of Universe. Right? So we found disturbances when Shah Jahan was ruler, especially civil wars. Enti civil wars annappudu, that is the wars among his own sons. The difference between Hindu polity and Muslim polity. In Hindu polity, we found law of succession. After the death of the king, the eldest son shall become the king. To avoid war of succession, the lawmakers made this provision. Such kind of provision we never found in Muslim polity. మన ఏదో ఒక ప్రొవిజన్ ఉంటుంది కదా, ఉంది. ఆ ప్రొవిజనే సర్వైవల్ ఆఫ్ ది ఫిట్టెస్ట్. जो जीता है वही सिकंदर. Sultan had dozen sons. Fantastic. Let them fight. Dangal. कुछ तो भी है. Let them fight. Someone comes with flying colors, and the flying colors would give an flower. Okay. So you become. So always civil war. And apply the same to words. When Shah Jahan was alive, we found civil war. So in civil war law, the respective brothers of Aurangzeb were killed by the same gentleman, and Aurangzeb became the ruler of Hindustan. See, killing the brothers, killing the fathers, killing the kid and kin is a very common phenomenon in politics. You shall keep in mind, kingship doesn't know kinship. Kingship doesn't know kinship. This is bro, this is I, third quarter. Right? That's the aroma of politics. మీరు ఏ పొలిటిక్స్లో చూసుకోండి, అది మొనార్కీస్ కానివ్వండి, డెమోక్రసీస్ కానివ్వండి, పిల్లనిచ్చిన మామని చంపుతారు, సొంత చెల్లెల్ని గెటెడ్ ఫ్రమ్ ది క్లాస్ అంటారు, కన్న కూతుర్ని గెటెడ్ ఫ్రమ్ ది పార్టీ అని చెప్తారు. నేను జనరల్ చెప్తున్నా, మీరు ఔరంగజేబ్, రైట్? So Aurangzeb, as far as Aurangzeb is concerned, like the gentleman, we have two opinions among these scholars as far as Aurangzeb is concerned. One opinion says he was a bigot, fanatic, matonmadi antunnaru, the one who has excessive feelings towards his or her religion, he or she be called as fanatic. The other group opines that he was not a fanatic but a Puritan. Puritan का मतलब क्या होता है? Puritan, కొంచెం గట్టిగా, ప్యూరిటన్ का मतलब क्या होता है? शरीयत ने कंप्लीट గా फॉलो. गुड. प्यूरिटन, the one who follows strictly religion. Conservative, Sanatani, Orthodox, the one who follows strictly religion, he or she be called as Puritan. Right? So we found two opinions. A group says bigot, a group says Puritan. So whatever the circumstances, from 1658 to 1681, Aurangzeb was in North India. Whatever the revolts organized by various communities against Aurangzeb, these revolts were brutally crushed. Against Aurangzeb, many communities organized revolts. For example, Afghans organized revolts, Rajputs organized revolts, Satnamis organized revolts, Jats organized revolts, even Sikhs also organized revolts for various reasons. కొన్ని పొలిటికల్ రీజన్స్ ఉన్నాయి, కొన్ని రిలీజియస్ రీజన్స్ ఉన్నాయి, కొన్ని ఎకానమిక్ రీజన్స్ ఉన్నాయి. ఫర్ వేరియస్ రీజన్స్ ద రెస్పెక్టివ్ కమ్యూనిటీస్ ఆర్గనైజ్ రివోల్ట్స్. When Aurangzeb was in North India between 1658 to 1681, what is the response of Aurangzeb? Though he received a few blows, but finally the respective revolts were brutally crushed. And it was in 1681 the same Aurangzeb came down to Deccan. 1681 లో డెక్కన్కి రావడం జరిగింది, and he did not return to North India because he died in Deccan himself. 1681, for various reasons. He determined to crush the Deccan Muslim kingdom, Bijapur and Golconda. And another major reason, why did he focus on Deccan? Marathas. Marathas sukkal చూయించారు ఆయనకు. Marathas, under the guidance of Shivaji, they started plundering the rich towns and cities of Deccan Muslim kingdoms, the rich towns and cities of Mughal Empire. Surat was plundered, Burhanpur was plundered, Agra was plundered. Aurangzeb was not happy with Marathas because, "Arey, memi andarni plunder cheyte, nu mammali plunder cheyte." We plunder other communities, but you started plundering us. How irrational this is. So Aurangzeb determined to teach a lesson to Marathas. అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి. 1680లో శివాజీ చనిపోవడం జరిగింది. 1680 శివాజీ passed away. Aurangzeb came down to Deccan in 1681 when Shambhaji was ruling over Maratha territories. So having came down to Deccan in 1681, the same Aurangzeb annexed, మనం లాస్ట్ క్లాస్లో రెఫర్ చేసి ఉండొచ్చు, Aurangzeb annexed Bijapur to Mughal Sultanate. The same Aurangzeb annexed Golconda in 1686 Bijapur, 1687 Golconda. And in 1689, the same Aurangzeb defeated Marathas. So there is a battle called Battle of Sangameshwar. The battle fought between Mughal forces and Maratha forces. Mughal forces headed by Mukarrab Khan. Previous question. Mukarrab. Mughal forces headed by Mukarrab Khan and Maratha forces headed by Shambhaji. So Battle of Sangameshwar is a pitched battle wherein Marathas shattered to pieces, and within no time Shambhaji got killed. In 1689, Battle of Sangameshwar. At least Aurangzeb would have returned to North India. He did not return to North India because though he assassinated Shambhaji got killed in 1689. From 1689 to 1700, we found guerrilla revolts against Aurangzeb from Rajaram, the stepbrother of Shambhaji. 1700, Rajaram passed away. From 1700 to 1707, the same guerrilla tactics were carried by Tarabai, the widow queen of Rajaram. She kept her minor son on the throne by name Shivaji II, and she started organizing guerrilla tactics against Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb would have returned to North India by 1689 itself. He committed the blunder of Himalayan magnitude. He did not return, and we found revolts in North India. The same Aurangzeb passed away in the year 1707, and he got buried at a place called Kuldabad, which comes in Aurangabad district of Maharashtra, today Shambhaji. Right? So after the death of Aurangzeb, we found gradual decline of Mughal Empire because weak rulers, inefficient rulers did not command the vast territories. The so-called their own governors started themselves as independent rulers. Right? It's all about the phase of ascendancy. Now come to administration. Well, administration is, when it comes to administration, we'll have a pause. We'll continue after the break. So guys, come back. So having understood the brief political history of Mughal Empire, when we understand the administration, whenever we talk about administration, you have two components. central government and local self-government. Central government, where you have king, council of ministers and officers, right? Now come to medieval. In place of king you call him sultan, in place of council of ministers you call him divans, and here officers, same officers. So whatever the decisions made by what we call sultan, by consulting the heads of departments, the respective decisions would be implemented by officers. That's it. Now come to local self-government. When it comes to local self-government, we have provinces, followed by districts, followed by mandals, and finally villages. Now come to provinces. For his administration, the vast Mughal Empire divided into provinces. What do we call provinces of Mughals? Subhas. The districts of Mughals? Subhas, followed by Sarkars. Mandals of Mughals? Paraganas. Right? And villages were called as mohallas. That's it. Throughout history, you have to focus on technical terms. Manam indaka refer chesam. The provinces of Mauryans were called as Pathas, otherwise called as Desha. The provinces of Guptans were called as Guptis. The provinces of Cholas, the provinces of Vijayanagar, provinces of Mughals, provinces of Sher Shah Sur, provinces of Shivaji or Marathas. Right? Veetni technical terms antam. Veetni gurtupettuko. Chalo. It's all about. Now start with reference to medieval India, which one of the following is the correct sequence in ascending order in terms of size? Ascending order का मतलब क्या होता है? Ascending, phase of ascendancy, small to big, right? Now start with, what's the right answer then? Paragana, Sarkar, Subha. Is it correct? Or Subha, Sarkar, Paragana? What's the right answer? That's right. With reference to Mughal India, what is oblique or the differences between Zagirdar and Zamindar? One of the famous areas or one of the a little bit confused areas, right? You have to spend time. Now come to Zagirdars. Zagirdars were holders of land assignments in lieu of judicial and police duties, whereas Zamindars were holders of revenue rights without obligation to perform any duty other than revenue collection. Zagirdar, Zamindar. Zagir is a Persian term, English Persian land. Zamin is a Persian term, English Persian land. Dar is a Persian term, English Persian head. Zagirdar, head of the land. Zamindar, also head of the land. But, అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి, literal meaning both happen to be heads of the lands, keeping aside. Now come to, there is a difference between Zamindari system and Zagirdari system. There is a difference between Zagirdars and Zamindars. And I would tell you people, you remember in this way. Zamindars can also be called as feudal lords. Feudal system. For example, Ikta system. Ancient India, feudal lords. Then how about Zagirdars? For example, మనం గుప్తుల కాలంలో రాసుకున్నాము, high rank officers were given salaries not in the form of cash but in the form of. So high rank officers, for your convenience, you can consider high rank officers as Zagirdars in medieval, because high rank officers were given salaries not in the form of cash but in the form of land. Assume in a given situation, a high rank officer got retired. What would be the fate of that land, that Zagir? That Zagir would be taken by state, emperor. That's it. So in Zagirdari system, you never ever come across hereditary rights. No hereditary rights. As long as you serve the emperor, you serve the state, you will be the master of that land. Once you retired or once you passed away, like Zagir, that land would be taken by the government. Now come to Zamindar. Zamindar, it's where you find hereditary rights. వంశ పారంపర్యము, hereditary rights. Zagirdars, when I say high rank officers, maybe military officers, maybe civil officers, maybe judicial officers, maybe. Then how about zamindars? Zamindars were purely associated with revenue affairs. You'll be given 1000 acres of land. From 1000 acres of land, you have to pay this much taxes to me. There is always an agreement between zamindars and the state. And you might be knowing, you might have studied zamindari system, raitwari system, mahalwari system. In zamindari system, you come across hereditary rights. In zamindari system, you also come across what we call say revenue affairs, revenue powers. The same zamindari system, on few occasions, you also come across judicial powers. Even zamindars were given rights or powers to punish the people. Judicial power. It's not the case of Zagirdari system. Just you are an officer of government. As long as you serve the government, you'll be going to enjoy the so-called land. That's it, right? Now, with this background, come to first statement. Zagirdars were holders of land assignments in lieu of judicial and police duties, whereas zamindars were holders of revenue rights without obligation to perform any duty other than revenue collection. Is it correct? Second statement. Land assignments to Zagirdars were hereditary and revenue rights of zamindars were not hereditary. The same zamindari system of Mughal Empire was copied and taken by English East India Company. Once we enter into modern Indian history, we are going to learn that is three land tenure systems: zamindari system, raitwari system, and mahalwari system. Just right. So Zagirdar, zamindar. Nature, state appointed revenue officers, local hereditary intermediary center. Hereditary Zagirdar annappudu the answer is no. You cannot transfer your land to someone. Yes, you can transfer hereditary nature. Role, collected revenue for state, maintained troops. You can also called mansabdars as Zagirdars, because mansabdars the military officers of Mughal Empire were called as mansabdar. So mansabdars were given salaries not in the form of cash but in the form of land. So mansabdars can also be called as Zagirdars. And the collected land revenue and the local control position part of Mughal bureaucracy, the local landlord, landed elite, right? Next, another question. With reference to Indian history, which of the following is or the essential element or elements of the feudal system? A very strong, first statement, a very strong centralized political authority and very weak provincial or local political authority. I repeat, a very strong centralized political authority. Incorrect. Feudal system lo political authority, central political authority అనేది weak గా ఉంటుంది. I generally say Telugu statement, pilli gudide Telugu dance చేస్తుంది. As long as central government is powerful, every feudatory pays taxes and obey the orders. Once central government becomes weak, feudatories become rulers. So whenever you talk about that is like say feudal system, you shall keep in mind weak central authority. First statement ఏం చెప్తుంది? A very strong centralized political authority and a very weak provincial or local political authority. Inversion, opposite them, right? First statement is incorrect. Second statement, emergence of administrative structure based on control and possessions of land. Feudal system lo entire system revolves around land. That's what second statement says. Second statement is correct. Creation of lord-vassal relationship between the feudal lord and his overland. మనకు ఫ్యూడలిజంలో ఎవరు ఉంటారు? అట్ ద టాప్ లార్డ్, ఫ్యూడల్ లార్డ్, భూస్వామి. అట్ ది బాటమ్ పీజెంట్స్. వీళ్ళని ఏమంటామంటే లార్డ్ వాజల్ రిలేషన్షిప్ అంటాం. master, slave, landlord, peasants. Right? So both these statements are correct. That is 2 and 3. Start with the Mughal Empire art forms. Mali art forms lo bhanga we have paintings, we have music and all, right? As far as paintings are concerned, so when you're talking about Mughal paintings were foreign in nature. They were aristocratic in nature, and they were non-spiritual in nature. That's it. Because Islam opposes paintings, Islam opposes sculptures. Even paintings can also be considered as a sculpture, some sort of form, image, right? Then, when Islam opposes sculptures or paintings, why did Muslim rulers went for paintings? I mean, why did Muslim rulers go for paintings? And in paintings, we found two types of paintings: religious paintings and secular paintings. Mughal paintings or Muslim paintings happen to be secular paintings, non-spiritual. Non-spiritual. Only secular paintings you come across. You come across like, say, royal darbar. Some foreigner or some like royal ambassador might have come to the court of Akbar, or might have come to the court of Jahangir, taking this particular episode, showing the form of painting, or some sort of like the public gathering, or so-called soldiers were going to the war, or war scenes, secular paintings. Enduku foreign in character? Because all paintings have all painting theme edaithe undo mottam kuda foreign theme antam. Because take an example of Bihazid, one of the famous painters of Central Asia. ఈ Bihazid painter ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో ఈయన స్టైల్ను ఇండియన్ పెయింటింగ్స్ ఫాలో అవడం జరిగింది. His students, Bihazid students, they came to India. When I say they came to India, they brought to India by Mughals, especially Humayun. Humayun, who had been to Central Asia for homesick holidays, this Babu brought XYZ painters, and all these painters happened to be the students of Bihazid. They're foreign in nature, and all the paintings were associated with aristocratic people, not common people. Right? Chalo. So, కొన్ని paintings మనం చూసినట్లయితే Mughal paintings, and you shall keep in mind one famous technical term, Murakka. What is this Murakka? Murakka, it's an album, album which consists of different paintings and different subjects. This particular album, like say a group of paintings on a photo album, right? A group of paintings. So these paintings, very costly paintings collected by Nadira Begum, the queen of Dharashiko. So she collected the paintings from different countries and different subjects. She binded all the paintings under the tag called Murakka, and this particular painting album edaithe undo, she gifted to her Patidev. Ilanti vallu undali. And what is the response of Patidev? Patidev said, "Thank you." Romantic fellow. Okay. Chalo, Murakka. మళ్ళీ ఇప్పుడు మురక్క లేదా అల్లం రబ్బ ఏడుంది సార్ అన్నప్పుడు ఇట్ వాస్ టేకెన్ టు లండన్. మన దగ్గర ఉంటే పోగొట్టుకుంటామని వాళ్ళు మంచి ఉద్దేశంతో, సదుద్దేశంతో వాళ్ళు తీసుకెళ్ళడం జరిగింది. రైట్? తస్కరించారు, దొంగలించారు, పెద్ద పెద్ద పదాలు యూజ్ చేయకండి. సో ఇట్ వాస్ టేకెన్ టు లండన్. అట్ ప్రెసెంట్ ఇట్ ఈస్ బీయింగ్ ప్రిజర్వ్డ్ ఇన్ లండన్ మ్యూజియం. రైట్? ఇట్స్ ఆల్ అబౌట్ మురక్క. సో portrait of Shah Jahan holding an emerald. One more. Shah Jahan and his son Dharashiko, another painting. All these paintings are in Victoria and Albert Museum, London. Akbar receives the Iranian ambassador Said Beg in 1562. అన్నీ కూడా రాయల్ పెయింటింగ్స్. ఒక్కటి కూడా పొలానికి వెళ్తున్నప్పుడు వీళ్ళు లీడర్ ఫ్రమ్ ది క్లాస్ అని చెప్పి మొత్తం రాయల్ పెయింటింగ్. Come to Mughal architecture. As well as Mughal architecture is concerned, మనం లాస్ట్ క్లాస్లో రిఫర్ చేసింటాం. ఒక స్టైల్ని ఒక డినాస్టీ ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ చేస్తారు, సబ్సిక్వెంట్ డినాస్టీస్ ఫీచర్స్ యాడ్ చేస్తారు, రైట్? సో ఢిల్లీ సుల్తాన్స్ were responsible for introducing Indo-Islamic style of architecture. The same architecture further enlarged by Mughals by using so many what we call say features and all, right? So with these features, the same Mughals built the respective monuments. The best example, Humayun's tomb located at Delhi. Located at Delhi. The best example of Indo-Islamic style of architecture. Whenever you observe, all Muslim monuments are built on high platform, raised platform. The same stuff which we have learned as part of Nagara style of architecture, raised platform. And dome architecture, observe here, dome architecture. And when it comes to material, red sandstone, very occasionally used white marble. Now we call this monument, and like we also found a feature added by Mughals, Charbagh system. Charbagh system, a monument surrounded by 4 gardens. Monument surrounded by 4 gardens. Charbagh garden, right? Observe really 1, 2, 3 and 4. Charbagh system. Enduki Charbagh system annappudu to give a peaceful environment to the monument. And monument peaceful, right? Charbagh system. Jama Masjid located at not Agra, Fatehpur Sikri. And to the Jama Masjid, the same Akbar built Buland Darwaza entrance. What are Toranas for Buddhist monuments? Gopuram for Hindu temples, Darwaza for Muslim mosque. Entrance. Then you talk about why did Akbar build annappudu? To celebrate his victory over Deccan. This Babu focused on Deccan. He spent for about 5 years, and he made Ahmednagar to accept the power. So obviously, he wanted to celebrate the victory outcome. He went for Buland Darwaza. Salim Chisti's Dargah located at Agra. So not Agra, please. Fatehpur Sikri. Vanni kuda Fatehpur Sikri. Fatehpur Sikri acted as a capital of Akbar for about 14 years. From 1572 to 1586, for about 14 years, Fatehpur Sikri acted as a capital of capital of Akbar. During this period, he built the respective constructions. And the significance of Sheikh Salim Chisti annappudu was a spiritual master of Akbar. The spiritual saint was a spiritual saint of Altamash. Kutubuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki. Bakhtiyar gurtu ravatledante Kaki ana gurtu pettukondi. Kaki. So the spiritual saint of Akbar, Sheikh Salim Chisti, the spiritual saint of Shivaji, Samartha Ramadas. Chalo. So the significance of Sheikh Salim Chisti's Dargah located in Fatehpur Sikri, the only monument to be built with white marble. Then how about other monuments? All monuments built with RSS, red sandstone. When it comes to Dargah, built with white marble. Akbar's tomb located in Sikandra near Agra. Itmadu-Dawla's tomb. Itmadu-Dawla is one of the titles of Mirza. One of the titles of Mirza Ghiyas Beg. One of the titles of Mirza Ghiyas Beg. Mali every Mirza Ghiyas Beg annappudu, the father of Nurjahan. The father of Nurjahan. After the death of her father, Mirza Ghiyas Beg, she built Maqbara, tomb. Maqbara is a Persian term, English version tomb. Now, she used expensive white marble, and she also used expensive Persian technique. What's the name of the technique? Pitradura. Enti Pitradura annappudu, that is inserting costly stones into marble work. ఈ మార్బుల్ వర్క్లో కాస్ట్లీ స్టోన్స్, జెమ్ స్టోన్స్ ఏవైతున్నాయో, లాపిస్ లజూలి కానివ్వండి, జేడ్ కానివ్వండి, చర్డ్ కానివ్వండి, ఈ కాస్ట్లీ స్టోన్స్ ఏవైతున్నాయో వాటిని ఇన్సర్ట్ చేయడమే పీత్రాదురా టెక్నిక్. right? For the first time, Pitradura technique was employed in a structure called Ipmadu Dawla tomb located at Agra. It was built by Noor Jahan. So Jama Masjid Delhi built by Shah Jahan. We have two Jama Masjids. One Jama Masjid located at Fatehpur Sikri built by Akbar. Another Jama Masjid located at Delhi built by Shah Jahan, Delhi, which is located opposite to Red Fort untundi, Jama Masjid Delhi. And obviously of all monuments, the beautiful monument happened to be Taj Mahal built by Shah Jahan, on the banks of river Yamuna, and it has got so many features. Charbagh system ganivandi, grid pattern system ganivandi, pure white marble system ganivandi, Pitradura system, whatever systems, all systems, existing features anni teeskoni ఈయన ఇక్కడ కట్టడం జరిగిందంట తాజ్ మహల్. And when it comes to Aurangzeb, when I say Aurangzeb did not associate this, his sons were associated with the mother's tomb at Aurangabad or modern Shambhaji Nagar. That is, మనం ఏమంటామంటే బీబీకా మక్బారా అంటాం. బీబీకా మక్బారా. Bibi, one of the queens of Aurangzeb by name Dilraz Bhanu Begum, popularly called as Bibi. So after the death, for her, a tomb was constructed in Kuldabad, that is Aurangabad district of Maharashtra, for about 15 to 20 kilometers ఉంటుంది Aurangzeb tomb ki ఈ దీనికి. So it is called as poor man's Taj Mahal అంటారు. Don't counter me, poor man Taj Mahal ఎందుకు కట్టుకుంటే ఇవ్వండి వద్దన్నమాట, అటు రాసింది నేను చెప్తాను. poor man's Taj Mahal అంటాం. Reason being, Taj Mahal constructed by Shah Jahan by investing crores and crores of rupees when it comes to by using so many costly materials, white marbles ganivandi, Pitradura ganivandi. It was not in the case of Maqbara, that is say Bibika Maqbara or tomb of Bibi, locally available white marble, right? State దగ్గర పోయి white marble తీసుకుంటే local available మొత్తం తీసుకొచ్చి కట్టారు, right? So poor man's Taj Mahal అంటే. Chalo, now Yoga Vasishtha was translated into Persian by Nizamuddin Panipati. His name was Nizamuddin. He was a native of Panipati, Hyderabadi kind of, right? So Yoga Vasishtha was translated into Persian by Nizamuddin Panipati during the reign of, what is the right answer? Akbar. Maximum translations in a kalamlo jarigandi. So Yoga Vasishtha, one of the Sanskrit texts, got translated into Persian language with a title called Jag Vasisht. With reference to Mian Tansen, which one of the following statements is not correct? Tansen was a title given to him by Emperor Akbar. The question is on not correct. Tansen was a title given to him by Emperor Akbar. Tansen composed Drupads on Hindu gods and goddesses. Tansen composed songs on his patrons, and Tansen invented many ragas. What is the right answer? The question is on not. Koncham gattiga. Tansen was a title given to him by Emperor Akbar. His original name was Mian Tansen. Original name was, can anyone? Ram Tanu Pandey. Not Kill Bill Pandey. It's Ram Tanu Pandey. Ram Tanu Pandey, original name of Mian Tansen. So Tansen, the great singer, Gandharva. So this particular title received by Ram Tanu Pandey from his Hindu master, from his Hindu, what we call patron, right? So Tansen composed Drupads on Hindu gods and goddesses, correct. Tansen composed songs on his patrons, obviously, and Tansen invented many ragas. ఏదో బొమ్మ తీసుకొచ్చావు సార్ తాన్సేన్, మాకు తెలియదని ఏవి చెప్తారు, లేదు ఆయన తాన్సేన్. Who among the following Mughal emperors shifted emphasis from illustrated manuscripts to album and individual portrait? Jahangir. So right from Babur, Humayun and Akbar. Paintings. Based on the content and the nature of the paintings broadly divided into three parts. The first part happened to be murals. The second part happened to be miniatures. The third part happened to be illustrated. Illustrated manuscripts. Right, I repeat the question. Who among the following Mughal emperors shifted emphasis from illustrated manuscripts to album and individual portrait? Illustrated manuscripts annappudu, like, taking an episode. Take an example of Mahabharata. One of the famous episodes happened to be Battle of Kurukshetra. Taking this particular episode, like, giving a form of painting. So Battle of Kurukshetra mere paintings రూపంలో ఏ విధంగా ఒకవైపు on one hand 5 members Pandavas, on the other hand 100 plus 1 lakh, a group of, okay, Battle of Kurukshetra. For example, to make understand, you might have watched a movie called Bahubali, the beginning, and especially Bahubali, the conclusion lo bhanga, Rajamouli and his team did fantastic job for first 5 to 10 minutes. ఈ బాహుబలి ద బిగినింగ్ ఏదైతే మేజర్ ఎపిసోడ్స్ ఉన్నాయో ఫస్ట్ 5 to 10 minutesలో వీళ్ళందరూ కూడా పెయింటింగ్స్ రూపంలో ఈ ఎపిసోడ్స్ను చూపించడం జరిగింది. ఈ ప్రాసెస్ను, ఈ ఫినామిన్ ఏమంటామంటే ఇలాస్ట్రేటెడ్ మ్యాన్యుస్క్రిప్ట్స్. మళ్ళీ ఈ షిఫ్ట్ అనేది మనకి ఎవరి కాలంలో జరిగింది అన్నప్పుడు జహాంగీర్. విచ్ వన్ ఆఫ్ ది ఫాలోయింగ్ ఫారిన్ ట్రావెలర్స్ elaborately discussed about diamonds and diamond mines of India? Hudson Tavernier. Banjaras during the medieval period of Indian history were generally agriculturalists, warriors, weavers, traders. Banjaras, Persian term, English version, caravans. But it's all about. Now start with Marathas. What is the significance today? Shivaji Maharaj. Now come to Marathas. So the history of Marathas can ఎప్పుడొచ్చా ఇన్ని రోజులు ఎక్కడ పోయినావు? దర్శనం కాలేదు. ఏం మారకు ఎట్టయితే వచ్చావో అట్టడే పోతు లగేజ్ తీసుకుని మొత్తం ఎన్టీఆర్. ఓకే. The history of Marathas can be summarized into 3 centuries. That is 17th century, the rise of Marathas. First half of 18th century, the domination of Marathas. The second half of 18th century, decline of Marathas. And 19th century, the disappearance of Marathas. Chala broad garthan chesukoni point attention. 17th century, the rise of Marathas under the guidance of Shivaji. Right? So first half of 18th century. మనం ఇందాక రెఫర్ చేశాం. సో శివాజీ పాస్డ్ అవే ఇన్ ద ఇయర్ 1618, రైట్. 1627 he was born. 1670 he got coronated himself as an independent ruler and took XYZ titles. 1680లో ఈయన చనిపోవడం జరిగింది. 1680 to 89 శంభాజీ. 89 to 1700 రాజారాం. 1700 to 1707 తారాబాయ్. 1707 to 1749 Sahu. And let me tell you, all happened to be weak rulers. When we compared with Shivaji, generally last rule to compare చేస్తున్నాం, వీకా లోటా పీసా తెలుస్తుంది. So when we compared with Shivaji, the successors of Shivaji happened to be weak and inefficient. Now come to 1707 to 1749. ఈ సాహు ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో, he was extremely weak and inefficient. Thereby the actual powers enjoyed by Peshwas. So under the guidance of Peshwas, or under the Peshwas ableist rule, the Maratha Empire reached to the heights. Heights అన్నప్పుడు నెక్స్ట్ ఏంటి? ఈ హైట్స్కి వెళ్ళే క్రమంలో, so in the process of reaching to the celestial heights, the same Maratha Peshwas committed blunders. It's a human nature. Committed blunders. Now the blunder led to their downfall. So దాన్ని ఏమంటామంటే ఈ బ్లండర్ ఏదైతే జరిగిందో, which took place in 1761, that is Battle of Panipat the Third. Battle of Panipat the Third, 1761. The battle fought between Ahmad Shah or Afghans versus Marathas. Afghan forces headed by Ahmad Shah Abdali. When it comes to Maratha forces headed by Sadashiv Rao Bhau. Sadashiv. Modern Arjun Kapoor. अपर अहमद शाह अब्दाली बाबा సంజు बोलते उसे నువ్వు నీ లోట పీస్ అది నవ్వుక కూర్చోసారి ఎప్పుడు చూసినా విలన్లని హైలైట్ చేస్తావు విలన్ హైలైట్ చేస్తే హీరోని ఆటోమేటిక్ వాళ్ళే హైలైట్ అవుతారు రైట్ సో 1761 మరాఠాస్ రిసీవ్డ్ బ్లోస్ ఫ్రమ్ say Afghans. So decline of Marathas antam. By 19th century the same Marathas received 3 blows from English East India Company got disappeared, right? So history of Marathas can be summarized into 3 centuries. 17th century the rise, so first half of 18th century the domination, second half of 18th century the decline, and 19th century the disappearance. So there are so many reasons for the rise of Marathas. One of the reasons, geographical factors, socio-economic factors, political factors, obviously the role of Shivaji, and even the blunders committed by Muslim rulers of Deccan and South India. When we understand the brief life of Shivaji, who belonged to a dynasty called Bhonsle dynasty, Shivaji Bhonsle. So Shivaji Raje Bhonsle was the founder of Maratha Empire, born in 1627 at a place called Shivner, and his father happened to be Shaji Bhonsle, mother happened to be Jijabai. The traditional sources tell us Shaji Bhonsle deserted Jijabai because he was associated with other wife antam. So when I say deserted, for their livelihood or for their maintenance, the so-called Puna Zagir demarcated into 2 halves. So the 50% Puna Zagir was given to Jijabai, and to look after Jijabai and little Shivaji, the same Shaji Bhonsle appointed Dadaji Kondadev, one of the famous trustworthy officers of Shivaji antam. And the same Dadaji Kondadev, from whom Shivaji had learnt various art forms, art of administration gavachu, art of warfare activities, what other arts gavachu. That is the reason historians branded Dadaji Kondadev as political mentor. Was the political mentor of Akbar? Bairam Khan. Political mentor of Shivaji, Dadaji Kondadev. Political mentor of Gandhiji, Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Political mentor of Revant Reddy, Chandrababu Naidu. Political mentor of KCR. Once again Chandrababu Naidu. నాయుడు గారు ఆయన చల్లగా ఉండాలి, ఆయన రూమ్లో 2 ఏసీలు వేసుకుంది, ఏసీలు ఇంకా గట్టి పెంచండి. And the spiritual mentor happened to be Samartha Ramadas antam. So after the death of Dadaji Kondadev, the sources tell us Shivaji became the Zagirdar of Pune region, that is 50%, right? So Shivaji had 2 aims. One is to establish a separate entity for Marathas, what they prefer to call it as Swarajya. And the second one is a revival of Hindu empire. Where? In North India. Revival of Hindu empire. అంటే అప్పటి వరకు మరాఠాస్, సో అంటిల్ దెన్ మరాఠాస్ హ్యాడ్ నో అ సెపరేట్ ఎంటిటీ, మరాఠాస్ హ్యాడ్ నో ఆధార్ కార్డ్. It was Shivaji who gave Aadhaar card to Marathas. If no Shivaji, forget about Marathas. If no Ranjit Singh, forget about Sikhs. कोई ना कोई रहता है, right? जैसा कि बाल साहेब ठाकरे, what is the use? अभी नारायण MNS, Shivasena again, right? That's the aroma of politics. Last class refrigeration. It was Mrs. Gandhi, Madam Indira Gandhi, who was responsible for the patronization of General Bhindranwala. Was the father of Khalistan movement. Now, why did she patronize Annapuru? Because she was not happy with Punjab. In Punjab, Congress party not even getting deposits. ऐसा कैसा होता है? In all elections, Akali Dal party was getting the stuff. फिर क्या करना है? फुलल बेटना है. Now she patronized the gentleman. నువ్వు కొంచెం లేపు, విల్ బికమ్ సీఎం అని చెప్పి. చేస్తానని చెప్పి. నువ్వు సీఎం చేసేది ఉంది, నేనే పిఎం అవుతాను నా కంట్రీకి అని చెప్పి. ఖలిస్తాన్ ఊడి అమ్మ బంటే ఎక్కడి నుంచి వచ్చారని చెప్పి. You have promised you'll make me as a CM. No, I'll make Prime Minister for my country. How Muslims were given separate state, that is Pakistan. On the same line, we must be given separate state. Khalistan. Nikalo re gaadi అని చెప్పారు. Khalistan movement. After the same towards the same Ram Janmabhoomi issue was also initiated by Congress party. Rajiv Gandhi. అమ్మో మామూలు పాలిటిక్స్ కాదన్నమాట. వాళ్ళు చేసిన పొలిటిక్స్ని వీళ్ళు కంటిన్యూ చేస్తున్నారు. ఎవ్రీవేర్ యూ కమ్ అక్రాస్ క్యాలిక్యులేషన్స్. ద గవర్నమెంట్ హ్యాస్ టేకెన్ వన్ డెసిషన్, బిహైండ్ దట్ 1000 క్యాలిక్యులేషన్. చలో, సో ఇక్కడ స్వరాజ్య అండ్ రివైవల్ ఆఫ్ హిందూ ఎంపైర్ ఇన్ నార్త్ ఇండియా. సేమ్ రివైవల్ ఆఫ్ హిందూ ఎంపైర్ ఇన్ నార్త్ ఇండియా లేకున్నా ఈవెన్ one of the say aims of Rajputs. Now come to Shivaji. Shivaji never succeeded in second ambition, but the same Shivaji succeeded in first ambition. He created a separate entity for Marathas. What they prefer to call it as Swarajya. Swarajya का मतलब क्या होता है? Swarajya it's an Sanskrit term. English version, independent rule, free from foreigners. Arey, all of a sudden, why you started talking about foreigners? Because Marathas, to be specific, Shivaji consider Muslims as foreigners. When I say Muslims as foreigners, from foreign rule, Deccan Muslim kingdoms, to be specific, Ahmednagar, part of I'm sorry, not Ahmednagar. Ahmednagar became part of Mughal Empire. We have Bijapur and Golconda. Deccan Muslim kingdoms and North Indian Muslim Empire, that is like Mughal Empire. E context lo Swarajya. Now, whenever you talk about, you determine to establish Swarajya, followed by revival of Hindu empire, you require a massive sources, a massive prosperous economy. And let me tell you, Marathas lacked economy. Forget about massive prosperous economy. Reason being, geography, hilly terrain, not conducive for agriculture, arid region, to be specific, Vidarbha region. Right? When Telangana was given separate state in 2014, the same demand was raised by Vidarbha. अभी भी है. Yes. थोड़ा बिस्కెట్ దాల్తో चुप बैठते. अब आवाज అది సమాచార గిషరా కాఫీ. నువ్వు కూడా ఒక ఉద్యమాన్ని చేయమని 6 months నుంచి చెప్తున్నాను. రాయలసీమ మీ ఆధ్వర్యంలో రాయలసీమ రావాలి అన్నమాట. కాబట్టి వచ్చి ఒక స్పీచ్ ఇస్తా. అంతేగాని ఉద్యమం వద్దు సార్, పీస్ఫుల్గా అది చెప్పమాట ఎట్టి అంటావు. ఓకే, revival of Hindu empire. So what is the response of Shivaji and his team? They followed a typical policy called policy of plunder. Robin Hood activities, కొండవీటి దొంగ, చెప్సార్ ముద్దులల్లుడు, ముద్దులమ్మ, ఇవన్నీ రైట్. సో పాలసీ ఆఫ్ ప్లండర్, వాట్ ఫర్ సౌండ్ వెల్త్, వాట్ ఫర్ in order to maintain a strong army, what for to revive Hindu empire. ఈ ప్రాసెస్లో భాగంగా Shivaji and his team plundered the rich towns and cities of Deccan. Out of 5 Muslim kingdoms, the worst victim of Shivaji's plunder, Bijapur. Kyun? Because prosperous kingdom. ఎంత చెట్టుకు అంతే గాలి, అది పెద్ద చెట్టు కాబట్టి వెళ్ళి కొట్లు కొట్టాడు అనమాట. And the next victim happened to be Mughal Empire. Rich provinces of Mughal Empire were plundered by what we call the Shivaji. As I was telling, మనం ఔరంగజేబ్ దగ్గర రెఫర్ చేసినప్పుడు, ఔరంగజేబ్ was not happy with Shivaji. When we generally plunder others, you started plundering us, right? Same. So, what was an attitude of Bijapur, like say towards Shivaji? Say Bijapur ruler by name Ali Adil Shah. History taught us Ali Adil Shah sent a Bijapur expedition headed by Afzal Khan. We found some sort of what we call the battles, and wherein Afzal Khan got killed అంటాం, రైట్. అండ్ ద సేమ్ 1659లో ఈ ఈవెంట్ జరిగింది. 1661లో మనకు షాయిస్తా ఖాన్ ఎక్స్పెడిషన్. షాయిస్తా ఖాన్ హ్యాపెన్ టు బి ద ముఘల్ గవర్నర్ ఇన్ డెక్కన్. సో ది జెంటల్మెన్ వాజ్ ఆల్సో సెంట్ టు పూనా against Shivaji. What is the response of Shivaji? Shivaji also defeated Shaista Khan. Starman can supply. He employed guerrilla tactics, guerrilla strategy, attacking the enemy without the knowledge of enemy. దాన్ని మనం ఏమంటామంటే guerrilla tactics అంటాం. Unfortunately, his sons or his successors never involved in guerrilla tactics. Cut cheste, Shambhaji got killed by Aurangzeb. When I say Aurangzeb, Mughal forces. One of the famous areas for APPSC and TGPSC, Shambhaji got killed by one of the Senanis of Aurangzeb by name Mukarrab Khan. మనకు TGPSC లో క్వశ్చన్ అడిగారు. Reason being, pitched battle. Sangameshwar, Battle of Sangameshwar, 1689, between Mughal forces and Maratha forces. Pitched battle, face to face. Mughal forces pitched battle. దంచులు దంచుతారు అన్నమాట. మళ్ళీ ఈసారి పల్ల వీకెళ్ళి ఏడు దాటుకుని ఎవరు కొట్టారు తెలియదు సార్, కానీ కొట్టాడు సార్. యు హిట్ టు గో అండ్ హైడ్. రైట్ నౌ Raja Jai Singh, 1663, and it was Raja Jai Singh who succeeded in forcing Shivaji for a peaceful treaty with Mughals. దాన్ని ఏమంటామంటే Treaty of Purandhar. Treaty of Purandhar, XYZ provisions, and within no time, provisions of Treaty of Purandhar, just go through the provisions of Treaty of Purandhar, like say violated by Shivaji Antam. And it was in the year 1676, the same 1674, the same Shivaji coronated himself as an independent ruler, and on this occasion he took XYZ titles. One among them was Chhatrapati, one among them was Haindava Dharmodharaka, another title Go Brahmana Rakshaka, Hind Pad Shahi. So from 1674 to 1680, Shivaji as an independent ruler. Then before 1674, he was merely a rank of Zagirdar. Right? And it was the same Shivaji passed away in the year 1680. After the death of Shivaji, we found Shambhaji. Right? We found Shambhaji. Shambhaji, you can call Shambhaji as unworthy son of a worthy father. So according to history, like the gentleman organized revolt against his own father, because when his father was busy with Carnatic expedition. Organizing revolts against father, a very natural phenomenon in politics, especially in monarchical form of government. Right? The same episode which we might have learned when Akbar was busy with Deccan affairs. What is the response of his Suputrudu, Vamshodharakudu, Salim, future Jahangir? This Babu also organized revolt. In politics, history taught us you supposed not to go out of capital for more than 1 year. Akbar was out of capital for about 5 years. He was in Deccan. His Suputra understood. After the same towards Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb came down to Deccan in 1681 until his death. Akkada Yaparam started. Even మనకు ఇండిపెండెంట్ ఇండియాలో ఒకసారి బేగంపేట్కి వెళ్ళి బాయ్ మాయ అని చెప్పొచ్చాడనమాట. అంద మాయ హీ వెంట్ ఫర్ అమెరికా ఫర్ సర్జరీ. అంద ఇంద బాబు వైస్రాయ్ హోటల్, అంద చీఫ్ మినిస్టర్ సమజ్దాకి ఇషరా కాఫీరు. ఏంది సార్ ఇది? పొలిటిక్స్లో యూ సపోజ్ నాట్ టు గో అవుట్. ఈవెన్ ప్రైమ్ మినిస్టర్, చీఫ్ మినిస్టర్ వెళ్ళినా కూడా వాళ్ళ మనసు మొత్తం క్యాపిటల్ మీద ఉంటుంది. ఎవడు ఏ వ్యాపారం చెప్తాడు? దట్స్ ఆరమ్ ఆఫ్ పొలిటిక్స్. మన మాదిరి వాళ్ళు ప్రశాంతంగా పడుకోలేం. పూర్ పీపుల్ మనం 5 గంటలకు పెడితే దాన్ని కొడుతూనే ఉంటాం అన్నాడు. ఊగా కూర్చొని చెప్తాం. అది పాపం ఏం చేయలేదు, మళ్ళీ ఇది కొడుతూనే ఉంటుంది. ఇప్పుడు ఎవరు అదృష్టవంతులు సార్? ఆబ్వియస్లీ మనమే. నాట్ లైక్ నో. ఓకే, రైట్. సో one of the blunders of Himalayan magnitude committed by Shambhaji Antam, because he gave political asylum to one of the rebellious sons of Aurangzeb, which led to Battle of Sangameshwar, wherein he was killed by Mughal Sultanate. It was in 1689, Sahu was captured and he was sent to Delhi. Because Shariat says you're supposed not to kill women and children. Sahu was a minor. Though Shambhaji got killed by Mughals, so Sahu, the minor son of Shambhaji, was captured and he was sent to Delhi. He was sent to Delhi public school. Right? Maharashtra schools and he was sent to Delhi public school. Between 1689 to 1707, he studied in Delhi public school, international school. Right? It was in 1707, so 1689 to 1700, Rajaram, 1700 to 1707, Tarabai started showing Sukkalu to Aurangzeb. Right? It was in 1707, Aurangzeb passed away in Deccan. After the death of Aurangzeb, we found Bahadur Shah the First. Where? In North India. The son and successor of Aurangzeb. What is the response of Bahadur Shah the First? Bahadur Shah the First determined to crush Marathas, especially of a woman. Akka peru em peru untadi? Tarabai. Adadi manalni. What is the response of Bahadur Shah the First? Bahadur Shah the First determined to crush Marathas with Marathas. Mulluni, Mullutone. How? Rajputs were defeated by Aurangzeb by deploying Rajput forces. Marathas were crushed by Bahadur Shah the First with Marathas. How? It was Bahadur Shah the First, sent Sahu from Mughal custody. డిగ్రీ అయిపోయింది కదా, వెళ్ళి జాబ్ సెట్ చేసుకోమని చెప్పాడు. నేను ఎంప్లాయ్మెంట్ బ్యూరో రిజిస్టర్ చేశాను, నువ్వు వెళ్ళు అని చెప్పాడు. మహారాష్ట్ర పబ్లిక్ సర్వీస్ కమిషన్ నోటిఫికేషన్ వచ్చింది, వెళ్ళు అని చెప్పి. ఐఎమ్ ప్రిపేరింగ్ ఫర్ యూపీఎస్. నీ లోటపీస్ యూపీఎస్ తర్వాత ప్రిపేర్ అయ్యాను, ఫస్ట్ గో టు రైట్ అండ్ రీజనల్ పబ్లిక్ సర్వీస్ కమిషన్ అని చెప్పి. హౌ లాంగ్ యూ విల్ బి ఇన్ హైదరాబాద్? సో గో టు మహారాష్ట్ర. So he was assisted, Bahadur Shah the First assisted Sahu, and the same Sahu also got assistance from Balaji Vishwanath. So we found there was a fields battle which fought at a place called Shakkar Kheda, Battle of Shakkar Kheda, fought in the year 1707 between Sahu forces, or between Confederation and Tarabai forces. Confederation consisted of Sahu, Confederation consisted of Mughal. Cut cheste, Tarabai was badly beaten by Confederation. She ran away from that is Satara to Kolhapur, and she started ruling from Kolhapur. Almost she was running a parallel government, and she did not accept the gentleman as a ruler. No Chhatrapati Lotapis అని చెప్పి మొగలులో మోచేతిని వద్దు సార్. ఓకే. Because his grandfather, Sahu's grandfather, Chhatrapati Shivaji, right, never bowed down his head in front of Mughals. But this Babu, maintained good relations with Mughals, and he started going down in front of Mughals, and he accepted the power of Mughals. He paid taxes, obeyed the orders. Outcome, Mughals recognized him as Chhatrapati, but she never accepted him as ruler of Maharashtra, and all that is another story, right? So this is how the last ruler of Bhosle dynasty became the ruler, and the same ruler ruled Swarajya from 1707 to 1749. As I was telling, since he was weak and inefficient, the actual powers enjoyed by Peshwas from 1707 to 1749. సో ఆ పీష్వాస్ గురించి మనం 1707 to 1749 పీష్వాస్ గురించి మనం అక్కడ మోడర్న్లో డిస్కస్ చేస్తాం. మన అటాక్ కాల్ ఆంగ్లో మరాఠా వార్స్. నౌ one of the another famous areas from Marathas, that is for exam point of view, Ashtapradhan system. So full of factual information. So we have Persian terms and we have what we call Marathi terms. Peshwa, Mukhya Pradhan, Mazumdar, Amatya. Mukhya Pradhan, Prime Minister cum Finance Minister. Mazumdar, Amatya, Home Minister. Vakya Navis, Mantri, Ministry of Home Affairs and Intelligence. Dabir, Sumant, Foreign Affairs. Surnavis, Sachiv, Sari Naubat, Senapati. Sadaru Sadar, Pandit Rao, Qazi Uskazat, Nyayadhish. Ashtapradhan, 8 prominent ministers, right? And it was Rajaram, right, one of the sons of Shivaji, or one of the stepbrothers of Shambhaji, who was responsible for adding a new ministry, that is Pratinidhi, right? We found a question. Shivaji instructed, or Shivaji made a provision, all ministers shall take part in warfare activities except Pandit Rao and Nyayadhish. In no administration you come across this particular provision, right from the days of Mauryans to Mughals. Ministers never participate in warfare activities except Senapati. Senapati వెళ్తాడు అనమాట. నా డిఫెన్స్ మినిస్టర్ రాజ్నాథ్ సింగ్ ఎడ కూర్చుంటాడు, ఏసీ రూమ్లో కూర్చుంటాడు జనరల్. సో ఇక్కడ బట్ Shivaji, like the made a provision, all ministers shall participate in warfare activities and even plundering activities except these two. What was the reason? Why did Shivaji make this provision? Or what factors forced Shivaji to make this provision, that all ministers shall participate in warfare activities? కొంచెం గట్టిగా. No army. The చెప్పనా, less economy, the meager sources. The meager sources forced Shivaji to insert this particular provision. If all were given exemption, ఆయన ఒక్కడే పోవాలన్నమాట. మళ్ళీ అలా అయితే ఈ ఇళ్ళని కూడా తీసుకెళ్లాల్సింది సార్. ఒక ఆయన నార్త్లో పెడుతుంది, ఇంకొక ఆయన వెస్ట్లో పెడుతుంది. అందరు పోతే అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్ ఎవరు చూడాలి? సో వీళ్ళిద్దరికి ఎగ్జామ్షన్, రైట్? చలో, నా కమ్ టు మళ్ళీ ఏంటి ప్రతినిధి అన్నప్పుడు, it was in the year 1689 Aurangzeb killed, or Mughals killed, what do we call, Shambhaji. They occupied Raigad, the capital of Swarajya or Marathas. What is the response of Rajaram? Rajaram got shifted capital from Raigad to Satara. The entire Ashtapradhans were in Raigad, only Chhatrapati was in Satara. Later on, like the same, what do we call, say Ashtapradhans also had been to Satara. That is another story. For time being, Rajaram created a mediator, Pratinidhi, representative, or mediator between Chhatrapati and Ashtapradhans. Whatever decisions made by Chhatrapati, these decisions to be intimated to say Ashtapradhan, and Ashtapradhan decisions be intimated to Chhatrapati. So Pratinidhi. And after the death of Rajaram, the Pratinidhi designation also got disappeared. Once again, like now we found Ashtapradhan system. Right, it's all about medieval Indian history, which has got totally 5 chapters. So with this we'll have a pause. The afternoon session will start modern.